At the tower on the 8th floor, the place is full of towers near the lands of the dead. We see an advanced group of knights moving forward, led by a guy with blonde hair, who stops them with a signal from his arm. He says, "Today, guys, we're here to do something no one has ever dared to do before. To defeat the guardian of the 8th floor." And we find out that this man is Itsuki, or Kyojo, the master of the Blue Region Guild, rank 6. Kyojo continues speaking. "Don't you dare take this lightly just because it's an alliance raid. If we don't take this seriously, the 9th floor will always be just a distant dream for all of us." He has a huge amount of respect in front of all the soldiers. Suddenly, the way opens up for someone, and Kaijo says, "Oh, look who just arrived. The Blue Eyes Guild in the flash." We see a guild advancing, made up of 8 knights moving forward. Leading them is a person wearing a mask, with black hair and dressed in black clothes. And we find out that this person is Narukomi Suburo, the master of the Blue Eyes Guild, rank number 1. We see Kyojo saying, "Hey Suburo, how are you?" Suburo replies, "Sorry for being late." Kyojo says, "Late for what? You guys are actually the first ones to arrive." Suburo says, "I heard that the warrior clans are gonna join us today." Kyojo replies, "And why wouldn't they? And Suburo is the one who will lead the vanguard in the end. Maybe they're just hoping to get the scraps you leave behind." Suburo responds, "If they're after the scraps." So he says, "Take one of these with you," and hands him something. It's something like a gemstone, radiating a bright light. And this glowing stone turns out to be the Blessing of the Chief Envoy, a legendary rank. Preparation level plus 50. When fatigue level reaches 100, half of it is instantly restored. It can only be used once, so this is something more than rare. This is truly a legendary rank, and we see Kyojo saying this. Then Subaru replies on, "I had resolved to finish this raid without anything going wrong, but keep it with you just in case of emergencies." Then Kaio says to Hen, "But you'll need it way more than I do." Then Subaru replies to Hen, "And after that, I want to invite you again. How about coming back under the Blue Eyes wing after this battle's over? Then you can return it to me. What do you think?" Kaijo gives him a look as if he's really sad about leaving the Blue Eyes, and Subaru continues, "But if you don't want to come, then you'll keep it for the rest of your life. Just use it when you really need to." And at that moment, while they were talking, their conversation was suddenly interrupted by a very loud noise. It was the sound of something dangerous arriving. Subaru says, "And here it is." Then Kyojo says to him, "You stared. Did it bare its fangs this quickly? The guardian of the 8th floor." And Kaijo says, "Get ready to face it." And we find out that the monster they're about to fight is the poison dragon, Hydra. Immediately, the poison dragon raises its many heads and attacks everyone present. Subaru says, "It's really tough to fight this thing. Just looking at it gives you chills." Then Subaru starts to unleash an intense energy, a strange orange-yellow energy. We find out that the currents have started flowing through Subaru's entire body. Subaru continues, "Today is the day you die for sure, Hydra Dragon." Immediately, the Hydra Dragon releases energy from its mouth. Kyojo says it's about to start breathing its attack. Everyone fall back. Then Subaru says to him, "There's no need for that, Kyojo." Kyojo replies, "What are you saying, Subaru?" But here, Subaru steps forward, right into the breath attack of the giant Hydra Dragon. An attack that's literally coming to wipe out everything. Subaru charges at it, and with just a single swing of his sword, he cuts through the breath attack, splitting it into 2 halves that fly off into the distance. Kyojo is blown away by Subaru's overwhelming power. He says, "Subaru, you're still just like I left you until now." Then one of Subaru's team members says, "Amazing, your training really paid off." Then another girl says, "Damn it, I'm late. I was hoping to land the first cat." Then another one says, "Hold on a second. What was that thing you just gave to Kyojo?" Subaru replies to her, "You'll find out soon. Are y'all ready? We're about to take down that giant lizard spirit in front of us, the one called the Hydra Dragon." And each member of Subaru's team starts charging up their energy to get ready for the legendary fight. Then Subaru continues, "We're gonna break through this cursed 8th floor." We see the Hydra Dragon, with its 8 heads, attacking our hero's team. Meanwhile, Kyojo watches them from a distance, staying silent. He says, "Wow, you guys really love each other a lot, huh?" Then one of the people says, "The hidden soldiers are positioned exactly as you planned." Kyojo replies a note, "Alright, okay, let's get started too." A stranger responds, "Whatever you want. Good luck, Kyojo." After that, the two who were talking to Kyojo disappear. Hyujo looks at his little girl from the Subaru team. We see Subaru and the others jumping onto the Hydra's dragon. And honestly, it's an epic battle everywhere you look. The Hydra dragon attacks, Subaru jumps, and the other girl jumps in with her ice powers. She says, "Hold on a second, you can't just go cutting like that without telling me anything." But the girl who's cutting is doing it with incredible strength. She says, "Haven't you figured it out yet naturally?" So the other person freezes the dragon's energy and says, "But hey, could you please pay a little more attention?" Then one of them says, "Hey Toshia, do you want to see which one of us can do more damage to the dragon?" And this guy delivers a massive stab to the head of the Hydra dragon, or at least to one of its heads. He literally knocks it to the ground. So Toshia says, if that's how it is, then the loser pays for dinner. He also goes after the Hydra dragon. That guy's name is Toshia, and he chops the Hydra dragon's heads into pieces. Then we see Subaru, and he says, "Sorry, Chino." Chino tells him, "Don't worry about it, just keep attacking." And we see Chino as she gives a shield to the hero. Our hero, and she continues, "Leave the defense to me." And here, Kyojo comes up behind her and says, "Hey, Chino, do you really think you can block this too?" Chino's surprised by what he says, and suddenly she starts bleeding a lot from her mouth. We see that the one who stabbed her was Kyojo himself, and honestly, the shock is clearly written all over her face. The little girl on Subaru's team takes the stab right in her stomach, and Kyojo says to her, "Oh my, that's what happens to those who get arrogant." Then Chino calls out to Subaru, who turns around and finds Chino lying dead on the ground, with Koyo's sword covered in blood. Subaru gets furious at him, and Koyo says, "Hey Subaru, this isn't the time for you to take your eyes off him." I mean, the Hydra dragon? Subaru sees the Hydra dragon behind him, mouth wide open, coming at him to eat him. Subaru asks him, "Mani, why, Kaijo?" Then we find out that the first message came, "The tower has chosen you. Climb it and prepare for the beginning that will come one day." That was the first message every player saw. Is this a disaster or something good? No one knew what the right answer was. No one knows who built it or what the purpose behind its construction is. And even to this day, it's still shrouded in mystery. This message and the tower that appeared with it. All we can do is obey the command, but we'll never be able to reach it. And striving to reach the top, that's the goal no one has ever achieved. People from Earth, Borean, Runeterra, the Vlad, and Lucan, players from many dimensions, each carrying their own ambitions, keep climbing the tower every day. And then we go back to the battlefield we left just a few seconds ago, and we see the Hydra dragon literally stabbed everywhere, its body completely torn apart. As for the rest of our heroes' team, they're all stabbed and killed too. And we see Super, with a defeated look, stabbed in the stomach with a spear. He says, "I told you idiots to run away, but you never listen to me." And we find out that everyone thought defeating this monster was impossible, but they actually pulled it off. And Super continues, "Still, I don't remember giving you permission to die, you fools, you idiots." He says, "The system is in an abnormal state. You are condemned. Natural recovery is impossible. Stress level is high." Reflection. The imagery. So our hero, Super, keeps going. "If I come back alive, most people will probably say, that's exactly what you'd expect from Narukomi's Super, the Lord of the Wild." But then we see Kyojo in front of him saying, "Subaru, you bastard, you cursed one. Why'd you do that? Answer me. Answer me, Itsuki Kyojo." So Kyojo says to him, "It's been 10 years, Super, my dear. 10 years of striving for this day. You understand that, right? This was the only way I could defeat you. If I hadn't lured you in to get your precious friends with the blue eyes involved, you have no idea about the hellish torment you put me through. That's why I made the whole world turn against you." So our hero says to him, "That's all there is to it." Then Kyojo says to him, "Well, sorry things had to come to this, but I can finally see the end. Oh right, I don't need this anymore. Isn't that right? Anyway, the blue eyes will disappear with you. So don't be sad. So even if you die, your name will be remembered as a hero, even if you won't witness it yourself." So our hero says to him, "Even with your last breath, you only talk about the things you love." And Subaru himself says, "So be it. Maybe I have run out of options in life, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna go quietly." After that, our hero opens a strange system window. Kyojo's shocked and says, "Impossible."
How?
Our hero pulls out the Ilios dagger. It's a legendary rank. Equipment level 80. It creates a storm that blows the enemy away for 10 kilometers. And it turns out, it's a pan. Kyojo asks him, haven't you run out of uses for that item yet? Our hero replies, like I'd tell you. It turns out there are 4 uses left. Our hero says to himself, I've only got 4 shots left. We see the rest of our hero's friends, all injured and lying on the ground. And our hero continues on, along with 4 survivors from the Blue Eyes. If I can save at least them, then the big disaster won't happen. Then we see Kaijo. He's really shocked by the strong winds that came and started sweeping up all his companions. Hyojo tells him, chase after him. Hurry up now. Don't let anyone get away from you. Go. Then we see Super, and he says, that won't happen while I'm here. Then Super raises his hand up and says, all of you are staying here with me. The system tells him, warning, high fatigue, proficiency rate has reached 95%. The duration of Lord of the Land is limited. Lord of the Land is being deactivated. And then an incredibly powerful legendary energy starts pouring out from our hero Subaru, who releases energy everywhere. He surprises Kaijo, who says, Subaru, you're one stubborn guy. And he tells the system, your proficiency rate has reached 96. So our hero says, no matter what kind of farewell you guys planned, I'm not just gonna hand it over to you like that. But you all are gonna pay for this with your lives. From this moment on, no one moves from their place unless I say so. They respond to him, damn it, so be it. We're putting everything on the line. Subaru starts taking him down, disabling him left and right. Then someone attacks him from behind, and Subaru says to himself, these lowlifes won't be able to kill me. But if Kyojo makes a move, that's a whole different story. I've gotten far enough away. The real problem is my exhaustion. I can't keep holding them off any longer. But then, someone appears behind our hero and manages to land a deep blow to his back. His proficiency rate reaches 98%, but our hero braces himself and takes a stab right in his abdomen. Then he tells the one who stabbed him, I did it. I killed Narakomi Super. So he says to him, Super, how about you repeat what you just said? Immediately, our hero starts electrifying everyone around them with the legendary Lord of the Land's energy, which knocks them all to the ground, dead. And as he pulls out the sword, the others say, he foul. Did we finally finish him off? What kind of monster is that? And we see Kojo from afar saying, Subaru, it's hard to believe your era is ending this easily. Our hero's fatigue level reaches 99, and the system tells him, you're in great danger. Fatigue is at its maximum. Reaching 100% will result in your death. So our hero says, Itsuki, Kyojo, you of all people know that even at the end, my condolences go to you. I am the victor. Our hero draws his spear and then throws it at an incredible speed. And we see Kyojo saying, my condolences to you, if you hadn't given me the blessing of the chief envoy. If you hadn't given me that thing. But here Kyojo is surprised by the mighty spear launched with the power of the Lightning Lord heading towards and reaching his face. Kyojo says, that's impossible. And Super continues until his last breath. I'm the one who wins. That was pathetic. Kyojo Itsuki, I wish I could have eliminated you. What a strange irony that these thoughts come to me only as I'm dying. Wait a second, is it possible for me to stay like this forever? That would be a huge torment. But then he smells something strange and says, what's up with this smell? Wait, a smell? How am I still able to smell? Unbelievable. But then a place opens up and it turns out to be a huge pile of trash or a big landfill. We see someone coming out of the landfill and saying, is this Earth? He opens the system screen or the system menu. The name that appears is Hosui Subaru. Affiliation. Level 1. Strength 11. Agility 12. Endurance 11. Focus 14. Mana 1. Fatigue 61. So he says, our hero is Hosui Subaru. What a pathetic status window this is. But here, he's in a lot of pain and gets a shock to his head like a bolt of lightning. He says, a name that doesn't fit at all, seriously. All the people of Earth are trash. Anyway, Narukomi Subaru was an exception. I wish I had even half the strength of Subaru, who died 20 years ago. What the heck? Subaru died 20 years ago. So this body, you've gotta be kidding me. Then this person climbs out of the garbage dump, holding something in his hand and says, a player's kit? Right, if I use this. He starts searching for the blue eyes and finds the blue zone. The successors of the blue eyes are extremely weak. The secrets behind naming the blue zone come from Subaru and the blue eyes in the name. He starts reading all the news and says, impossible. If I don't die in the end, Itsuki Kyojo. Itsuki. We never started out as enemies. Then we go into a flashback with Subaru. We see Subaru sitting with Kyojo. Subaru asks him, what's wrong? You just invited me this late, Kaijo. So Kyojo says to him, Subaru, I'm thinking about leaving the Blue Eyes. Subaru says to him in surprise, where did that come from? And why? Kaijo tells him, tell the others on my behalf. And Subaru tells us, a friend? Or at least that's what I thought of Basuki Kyojo. We see Kyojo saying, you'll understand the reason one day. Don't worry, I'll always be your shadow, even if we part ways. And Subaru continues, he came back after so many years away. But this time, the foundation of his own guild is built on the name we always used to talk about, the Blue Zelm. That was the name of the shadow he meant in his words. Then we see Subaru in his new body walking and saying, you're still only on the 9th floor. Like, you guys haven't moved an inch in 20 years. Then we see news that crowds are gathering at the Narukomi Subaru Memorial Base on the anniversary of his death. So even after 20 years, his memory's still alive. So our hero says, a base that still carries my name. Then he goes to the Subaru Memorial Base and says, I still can't believe it to this day. This is way fancier than I ever imagined. And when he goes inside, he sees the mask he used to wear and says, what could anyone possibly gain from immortalizing someone's memory like this? Who did all of this? And for what purpose did they do it? Then he hears a voice saying, the hero is the one who has guided our steps at all times. The hero who stood behind the legend of the invincible blue eyes. And the man who reached the farthest point in the tower. Narukomi Subaru, immortalized forever. We are his friends, his companions on the journey. So Subaru says, no, please, no, don't say it. And the voice continues, why did we build this hall of remembrance? And the new Subaru trembles and says, it was you, Itsuki. And Itsuki's voice continues, the existence of Narukomi Subaru and the blue eyes has vanished. But here in the Blue Zone, we're still the only guild that inherited their noble, glorious spirit. And we see that even Itsuki Kyojo is wearing part of Subaru's mask. And he says, let's stop this nonsense. You're a fraud. Wasn't it enough for you to kill me? Alright, I'll live up to your expectations. Then, Itsuki's voice continues, maybe Subaru and the blue eyes will never come back. But we'll never forget what he did for us, no matter how long we live. Then our hero Subaru continues, just wait and see. I'll rewrite everything. I'm gonna uproot all these memories. I won't let a tragedy like this happen again, no matter how long I live. I'll never waste a second chance. At that moment, someone bumps into Subaru, falls to the ground, and starts crying. So Subaru asks him, are you okay? But he's surprised to see the person wearing a mask, the same mask as Subaru's. Surprised, he turns to one of the people and says, excuse me, did something happen to you? Then a woman says, hey Minato, are you alright? So our protagonist says, no, it's nothing really. Just a random bump. He then notices that everyone around is wearing those same masks. He says, they're all wearing them too. What's going on? But then he turns, closes his eyes, opens them again and says, what am I even seeing? Why is everyone like this? What's happening? He sees that everyone is wearing something exactly like a mask. Then we see Kojo saying, it's really a shame that things had to end like this. Don't be too sad. Even if you die, your memory will live on as a hero. Then Subaru says, actually, if that's what he meant back then, Kyojo, you bastard. He arrives at the place where his memorial is set up and says, is all of this here too? Was this whole play just so he could steal the glory of the blue eyes and claim it for himself? But then he notices something glowing among the flowers placed on his grave, and he moves closer to it. And people ask him, hey, wait a sec, what do you think you're doing? Please, get back in line. But then he kneels down on the ground and reaches out to one of the flowers and finds that it's a frozen flower. So he says, is that really you, Asagiri Shigure? Are you here? And we see someone from afar saying, we barely made it through this year again, just by the skin of our teeth. Then another guy says to him, you relax way too much. If we had slowed down even a little, we would have crashed right into the blue zone head on. Do we really have to go through all this suffering every year, just for the memorial ceremony? Just putting down a few flowers should be enough. Then the other person replies, no one knows what fate has in store for us. And it turns out, this guy is one of our hero's followers in the Blue Eyes. He continues, maybe Super will notice the flowers I left for him. So the girl asks him, do you still think he's alive till now? The man replies, I never saw him die with my own two eyes. The girl says to him, if that's the case, Kyojo will find our location before we find Super. Do you really think he'd just stand by and do nothing while watching us from the plane for 20 years, you idiot? Then we see our hero, Super, heading to another place and saying, is Shigori really still alive? After that, he goes to the room where he, or the owner of the body, used to live and says, so this is the room where that kid Super used to stay. And it's obvious he was broke. The place is in really bad shape. I searched for any trace of the blue eyes, but it was no use. It seems now I know that Shigori is alive, but he's hiding from sight. And for a full 20 years, too. There's no doubt that Kyojo's the reason. He won't let any of them live, or anyone who knows the truth, ever. Is Shigori the only one who managed to survive? Or did all four of the ones I sent away back then survive? I really don't know. As long as Kojo is around, trying to contact them now would just be a huge risk. On top of that, I'm stripped of my power. I don't have any left at the moment. So if I force myself into this, all I'll do is attract the wrong kind of attention. First of all, I need to regain my old strength, according to his memories. Except for Subaru. In 2 days from now, the preliminary test for player qualification will begin. As long as they're alive, as long as their souls inhabit my body, meeting them is inevitable. Then, at the preliminary test area, he sees the two goblin characters standing in front of the coach named Hugger, looking completely exhausted. Hugger says to him, you barely made it through the test. But are you gonna take on the next stage? The boy replies, yeah, the next one. A notification pops up from the system saying that with each new stage, or the next stage, the number of goblins increases by 1. So clearing the higher stages even gives you better rewards. The boy says, no way, I'm not doing that. Are you crazy? How am I supposed to defeat 3 at once? Hugger tells him, enough yelling, you're giving me a headache. I can just declare you failed, right? The boy replies, but I succeeded, didn't I? Then the boy disappears in front of him, and so do the goblins. The man says, yeah, just another temporary preliminary test. I can hardly believe we have to let such a pathetic person pass. Isaac, son of Reimarden, except if he reaches the 20th stage, there's not a single other participant better than him. The level of this batch on the test is really low. The competence of the youth is really declined. But here, he finds his name in front of him and says, looks like this name's gonna cause us some trouble. Well, that's if he even manages to succeed in the first place. Now, 2 goblins are about to appear, and the goblins show up in front of our hero. And Huger says to him, let's start the test. But before Huger can finish his sentence, our hero has already blown the heads off both of them right in front of Huger. And suddenly, another surprise. Hugger says, what was that blinding flash? He says, super. Well, I did something good by spending the last 2 days testing out this body in every possible way. The body I entered's actually performing really well in terms of stats. So it definitely has some good potential. The thing is, Super just never made good use of it at all. Then the system asks him if he wants to move on to the next area or the next stage. Super agrees, and then Hugger, the examiner, sees him and is completely shocked, his mouth wide open in disbelief at the number of goblins our hero has taken down. And Huger says to him, is what I'm seeing in front of me real? Seriously, this guy doesn't just swing a sword for nothing. He can actually read his opponent's moves 2 or 3 steps ahead. This isn't just skill and swordsmanship. Even I can't move with that kind of agility. It's impossible to reach that level of combat unless you're Narakomi Super and came back to life. Then our hero sees himself having struck down one of the goblins and completely shredded him. And the system announces that stage 49 has been cleared. So now, whoever wants to challenge the last boss can do so. Subaru says, alright, let's take on this challenge. Suddenly, the whole place starts shaking, the ground shatters, and a giant hand emerges from it. Fuger yells at him, wait, you idiot, stop! No matter how strong you get, you're not Naruto or Komi Super. If your life means anything to you, withdraw right now. At that moment, one of the giant goblins appears and stands in front of our hero, declaring that he won't let him pass. The system announces, the Goblin King has appeared. He sends sacrifices all the way up to stage 49. The Goblin King gets extremely angry, and Hugger tells him, surrender before it's too late. Fighting the Goblin King is pure recklessness. It's basically suicide. Don't be greedy. No matter how skilled you are, you'll lose all your stats. Our hero says to himself, I know that with my current stats, this is impossible. Most likely, I won't be able to do him any real harm. Still, I refuse. And our hero drops a sword. So Hugger asks him, why are you throwing away your weapon? Are you crazy? You finally lost your mind. I knew there was something off about you from the start. And the Goblin King charges at our hero. But our hero throws something at his leg, and that thing stops him in his tracks. The Goblin King is surprised by our hero, who is holding up things that look like needles. He says, are you from? ISIS. Let's make a bet. Which one of us will get the other first? Will you be the one to kill me? Or will I turn your body into a sieve before that, leaving you full of holes everywhere? After that, we see Subaru throw his needles at the Goblin King's eyes, hitting both of them. But the Goblin King strikes a devastating blow, blasting the ground with his giant axe. But Subaru dodges and thinks through everything. And we see a flashback of Subaru throwing something at a spot, but he misses. So the girl with him says, "You shouldn't just throw it like that." Subaru replies, "You're here." Rina tells him, "Anything can be a throwing dagger as long as you know its center of gravity." She throws something like a pen and hits the target halfway. Then we see Subaru bringing down the giant, literally turning him into a sieve from the number of hits he landed on him, even striking him right in the middle of his throat. The giant is in pain and lets out a loud sound, so Subaru says, "The force of the spin and the accuracy of the hit are inversely proportional to the frequency." That's what Rina caught me. And Beshoff Hugh from afar says that the goblin corpses and the tomb of poisons will not disappear until the test is over. Who would have thought that he would employ a technology that was taken for granted in this way? It's not just a fencing art to use to cut off the necks of goblins. Rather, it is a technique of throwing a weapon to hit specific points with concealed weapons. He's a genius. Genius. Now, this word is not enough to describe something like this. And we see the Goblin King fall to the ground in front of our hero after a great fight, and Subaru here pulls out the sword and says, "I don't hold any grudge against you, but goodbye." He feeds the Goblin King, and the system tells him, "You have defeated the Goblin King. You have completed the preliminary test for stage 50 for the first time." So Subro says, "All of this is still just a preliminary test. Isn't that right? You really shouldn't put a monster like that in a training stage." And the system tells him, "You have leveled up. You have earned credit. You have earned achievement points. The preliminary test shop has been unlocked. This shop is only available for use in this stage." So Subro says, "What can I buy with the points I have right now?" And the system tells him, "Your current achievement points are 2,425. So our hero says, "I wasn't even allowed to see this shop before." The preliminary test shop opens, and he finds a low-grade health potion for 50 points, a straw rope for 60, a flag for 100, and a low-rank shield. So our hero says, "Looks like the price ranges from 5 points to 200 points. I'm gonna have a lot of leftover points with no use." But then he notices something. "Can I even buy things like these?" And he finds the unknown devil sword for 1,000 coins. Rarity, where? Type, weapon. So our hero says, "A failed creation by the magic swordsmith Kender." So it's nameless. Who would have thought I'd find a piece made by Kender here? That's really tempting, but then on the other side, he finds the holy sword. The price? 1,400 achievement points. Rarity, rare. Type, weapon, Mirren. So our hero says, "What I need isn't a devil sword, but a holy sword. Should I prioritize destructive power and choose the devil sword? Or should I go for safety and choose the holy sword?" Honestly, I don't like either of them at all. How should I spend these initial points? I have to choose wisely. But here, Subaru notices something and says, "Can I still scroll down?" Then he finds the stake of exorcism. Price, 1,400. Rank, F. Type, skill. Level, 1. Suppresses the side effects of the skills and items used by the user. The skill's rank and level can be upgraded. Required credits, 10,000 coins. So our hero says, "I've never seen a skill with this effect before. Maybe it's with the demon sword." No, it even suppresses the negative effects of the lightning skill. Then our hero buys the skill for 1,400 coins. After that, he buys the weapon, the unknown demon sword. He says, "This is worth a shot. Just as I expected, this skill stands out. And the demon sword is in perfect harmony. Instead of struggling with just one skill, so using the demon sword from the start is..." Then Huger says to him, "If you chose the demon sword, it's a good choice for both the skill and the element. Very high compatibility. A good choice for this skill. And the element and the sword have great synergy together. As a supervisor, I can't really understand this matter. I'm Huger, but tell me, why did you choose this skill? You don't even know if it's gonna work for you or not. And at the same time, we can't really say it's not effective either." So the hero says to him, "What are this? Do you want me to explain everything I just said to you?" Then Huger tells him, "Explain it." So the hero says to him, "Is this what you want, Mr. Huger?" And he says to himself, "Having a formal conversation with these people is really exhausting." Huger tells him, "You must be tired after finishing the test." That's why I'll let this slide this time. It's not like there's any other special reason. You understand? So our hero says to himself, "Huger. Yeah, so this is the T with the crooked nose. And the one who became the test supervisor? I remember." And we go into a flashback. We see Huger when he was young saying, "Hi, I'm one of your fans. Could you please give me your autograph?" So our hero says to him, "An autograph? I don't have one of those." Then Huger says to him, "So just writing your name would be enough by mistake. My name's Huger." After that, we see Heather. He says that when he was a player, he learned manners, which is the first step. So our hero says himself, "Times have completely changed. Just like the amount of hair left on your head, Huger. And our hero says, anyway, I have no intention of answering. That's why you should keep the test results confidential. So he tells him, Yog, you're doing it again, arguing with a little bit of knowledge you picked up from social media. Just so you know, if that's how it is, the manners you lack, I'll teach them to you myself from scratch. You get what he's saying? Are you planning to join the Knights Guild? So he tells him, no, not at all. I have no intention. Then he says, hold on a second. It's rare for him to get up and personally recruit someone, you get me? And he asks him, are you planning to switch to the other side? So our hero says, yeah, we quit. Then he says, hold on a second, wait, you. But here, our hero Subaru disappears right in front of him, and we see Huger saying, oh my god, I had high hopes for you, man. After that, our hero arrives at the second floor and sees a ton of people selling fish, others selling dried meat, and lots of people, adventurers, and many players. Our hero introduces us to the land of beginnings and says, I finally come back to this place. I took advantage of an opportunity that most people don't get. A second attempt. Since I've already taken the plunge once, I have to handle things more skillfully than before, especially for the friends who are surely waiting for me now, and also because of the revenge for that terrible ending. What I took from you, Itsuki Kyojo, I told you about it. After that, we see our hero looking super confident as he heads to the private training room where he trains on his own. He tries out the new skills he just learned and also tests the durability of his equipment there. We also get to see the person in charge of the private training rooms. And the person asks our hero, which floor are you from? So our hero tells him, I just came up a little while ago. And then he tells us. After that, Subaru's in a place where every player comes by frequently, so the old man tells him, in that case, you have to. Use training room number 1 with the dummy. Head over there. So Subaru says to him, I want to use number 5. The old man is surprised and says to him, number 5? Listen, I'll be honest with you. Don't do it. It'll just be a waste of money. Just use number 1 and that's it. So our hero says to him, I appreciate your concern. 30 minutes, please. Number 5. So the old man says, whatever happens, it's your responsibility. There's no refund if you leave in the middle of the way, understand? He acts like he's the hero of a drama. Then our hero continues and tells him that he spent 50 from his balance and now has 10,050 left. After that, Subaru tells us that the higher the number gets, the more intense it becomes. The training room is much harder for a beginner player. Someone who lacks proper equipment, so getting side glances is only natural. Alright then, let's get started. And he opens the door to the training room. He draws the mysterious demonic sword, which says it's starting to recognize its user. Then the system continues. All abilities are temporarily increased, but it consumes the user's health and mana points, so Sebra feels pain. The system continues after that, and you keep pushing through. At the first level, he resists the reverse binding of the mysterious demonic sword. A bit of health and mana points are restored, and you keep pushing through at the first level, but he fails to resist the reverse binding of the sword, so the fatigue increases a bit. Subaru says, as expected, the first level is really weak, but with a bit more effort, things will get better. The system says that the mysterious demonic sword absorbs the user's health points, and the abilities increase in proportion to the loss of health points. So Subaru says, is this the limit, I wonder? Still within expectations. Then our hero spends 10,000 coins on the Stake of Greed, which increases the skill level now, upgrading it from rank E to the second level, and he continues after that. The Stake of Greed allows him to resist the reverse binding of the mysterious demonic sword, and the resistance partially succeeds but is consumed. However, the user's endurance is consumed while using the mysterious demonic sword, and the stats increase. More and more, so Subaru says, nice success, and then he sees him and says, Guate Garuba, then jumps up and starts his training in the training room. Then we see the old man sleeping, and we see someone passing by the old man as he's coming out of the training room. The old man says, am I still dreaming, or is this real? He sees blood everywhere, wherever that man walked. He says, the boy who entered room number 5, don't think that only 10 minutes have passed. Then he bangs on the door of the room, and he says, oh boy, no dreams. Are you still inside? He slowly opens the door and is completely shocked by what he sees. The whole room is utterly destroyed. Everything is shattered into pieces, and there is absolutely nothing left at all. The old man stands there in total disbelief and says, wow, wow, wow. He just can't believe his eyes as he looks at the mess. The physical burden definitely decreased. Thanks to that, I was able to draw out the sword's power with my normal stats. Also, I didn't even have to be able to use it, let alone properly wield a demonic sword. Even the compatibility between the timing of the hammer and the demonic sword can't be denied, which shows that they have to work well together with the skills that work on healing, too. The real challenge from here on out will be leveling up the skill. But yeah, was I always this broke? We see that our hero only has 50 coins, and he goes on to say that he's suffering just because of a bit of money. That's a huge downfall I've experienced. Then he hears someone saying, "Welcome everyone, I'm currently on an expedition to the second floor." That brings back memories of my days as a newbie on the second floor, doesn't it? Today's topic is, how much do the modern guys spend on equipment? To do that, this guy earns some money and dumps a cup of coffee on his head, saying, "Direct hit. Thanks for the cash." And that's the thing. This is literally like TikTok with boosts, streams, and stuff like that. So he says, "We stopped the super. What's up with this crazy guy? Is he really crazy?" But it's live. Yeah, it's a system where you stream the video in real time and get financial support. So this is what that dumb kid was doing. And then you hear a voice saying, "Oh yeah, isn't that Super Ocean? Did you make it here? You too? Oh my god. What are the odds that I ran into you here? Do you hang out in this area? Here too?" So Subaru is surprised and thinks to himself, "My body is showing an instinctive discomfort because our relationship wasn't good." Then the strange man says, "Oh, wait a second. Your friend is talking to you and you're ignoring him, making me talk to myself? That's rude, you know?" Subaru says, "Stop it. That's not discomfort. That's fear." Then Subaru says, "Oh, if that's the case, I just got here a little while ago." The man replies, "Wow, what a surprise. To think that a loser like you could even pass the preliminary test. I thought you got killed by goblins or something like that." Subaru says, "Stop it. I just remembered Isaac." Then we go into a flashback and see the old Subaru, or Suhai Subaru. He says, "Why? Why are you doing this, Isaac?" Isaac replies, "Why? Because you're trash, obviously. For starters, even your name annoys me, and you can't even do what I order you to do. Are you trying to brag that you're an orphan without parents?" So Subaru says, "Because the money you gave me was never enough. So how could I do what you asked of me? Tell me now." Then Isaac punches him in the stomach and says, "Don't talk back to me, you piece of trash." He tears up the thing Subaru brought and continues, "Yeah, this suits you. This is your place. I'm in the trash, got it? From now on, this is your home no matter what happens. You're not getting out of there. You know what will happen if you go out alone and I find you, right?" And now, we're back to the present. And Subaru's friend tells him to just accept it. But Subaru, that idiot, says, "Don't tell me. Was that the reason I ended up in the trash heap?" So Isaac tells him, "I even finished up to level 20 and broke my dad's record. Inspector Huger didn't stop at all." And he said, "As expected from Lord Reinhardt's son, I learned a skill thanks to the completion reward. By the way, it's a rank B skill too. Apparently, that's the highest rank you can get from the preliminary test." Ah, talking about this makes me thirsty. Maybe I'll get something to drink too. So Subaru tells him, "Yeah, you go ahead, I have to leave." And he replies to him, "Isaac, by the way, if you're heading out, go buy me some coffee and grab a few snacks while you're at it." Or whatever. So he tells him, "Stop it, what do you mean?" Isaac replies, "You're still as stubborn as ever. Why are you looking at me with those wide eyes, searching for a problem in every word I say? Have you been possessed or what?" Something like that. So he tells him, "Leave me alone. I don't have money. Buy your own coffee." Isaac says, "Sit down." But our hero gets up and leaves, saying to himself, "Sorry, but I don't have time to get revenge for you too. But if you get in the way of my revenge, that's a whole different story." But here, Isaac grabs our hero by the hand and says, "Hey, wait a second. Don't you want to see what happens to the scum running away to Drakody?" So he tells him, "Trust me, letting me go would be in your best interest." Isaac is surprised by him and by what our hero says, and everyone in the place starts looking at Isaac. He tells him, "Know your limits, Sopra." And he thinks to himself, "There's no way I can cause a scene in front of all these people. Chaos would just make things even more complicated." Then Isaac laughs and says, "Don't freak out like that. I was just messing with you a bit. Like the old days, right? You're still just a rookie, just like I told you. With those skills of yours, I bet you can barely. You passed the preliminary test. I get that you're feeling a rush, but hey, rookie, do you really think you can fight me? If I wanted, I could wipe you out of existence. You know who my father is, right? Watch yourself, my friend." Then Isaac keeps walking and says, Friend? What friend is that, I wonder? Friend or just nonsense? Then Subro says, there are two main paths for player growth. The first is through tests. By taking the Burr tests and collecting rewards, players naturally become stronger. Taking the tests requires spending points, but safety is guaranteed in the virtual space if you take the tests there. Even if you die, your losses are limited to points in progress. The second way is hunting in real life, by hunting monsters outside the safe zones. Or there are special dungeons where you can grow much, much faster. Growth here is 3 times faster than in the Berg tests, but these are hunting fields in the real world, that's why. If you die, you really die. Then, at the Whispering Orc Lair dungeon, we see our hero saying, that's why players avoid hunting. There's no need to risk your life. But the safer it is, the slower the growth, and the more dangerous it is, the faster it gets. Then we see the corpse of one of the giant orcs next to our hero, and our hero has plunged his sword right into its belly and opens it up. And Narukomi Suburo says, viewers, 80,000. Then we see someone saying, sorry for the delay, everyone. I'm gonna challenge the third floor test. Now people are saying to him, what's this? This is the 8th time he's done it again? Subaru is doing what he always does, so our hero says it himself. The name Narukomi Subaru, how many people has he used the Forkra on, I wonder? Then someone else says, Narukomi Subaru's record is dumb. The mission is 20,000 cents when you finish it. Then the other Subaru says, I'm Narukomi Subaru, and I'll gladly play the fool. Thanks for the 20,000 cents. So our hero says 20,000 cents, and the system says it too. And he's proud. Mission record, 10,000 cents, a single wallet. Mission record, prove your abilities and pay 5,000 in safe assets. Mission record, I'll add 15,000 cents generously. And he sees this guy doing things. So the real Subaru says, this guy's making a fortune off my name, huh? Well, another side hustle. Then orcs appear, and their leader, the orc general, stands before our hero. Subaru thinks to himself, even without the poison needle I used last time, I've got something better for you today, and our hero uses it. The unknown demon sword that absorbs his health, and a straw stake that resists the demon sword's backlash. So our hero says, I'm really busy. I don't have time to waste on scum like you. He jumps at them with incredible speed, then takes out the two of them and delivers a massive blow to the third, finishing off the Whispering Orc's lair, and then grabs his mask. He says, so I have to wear this again? Now I completely understand how streamers make their money. And since I'm getting into this field, I'll do it my own way, with the best thing I know how to do. Anyway, I'm the original here. Then the system says that the Rakumi is super, and a live broadcast has started. Then we see a girl from the Sutton Entertainment Agency sitting and watching the stream, looking annoyed. And she says, what is this? Seriously, this idiot is useless. Not even 5 people can finish him off. What kind of farce is this? Then the guy with her says, hey, every time the censorship alarm goes off, it costs 1,000 senator. You were about to go over the limit just now. So what happened? Who is this person this time? The girl says, Subikati. He replies, no way, Subikati? Is he a Narukumi Subaru copycat or something else? The girl says, who knows? Maybe he's a mix of both, since the real Narukumi Subaru is missing. The most famous one ends up being considered the original. Pretty much everyone copies Narukumi Subaru and causes chaos. Has the era of live streaming ended? I wonder. The guy with her says, hey, don't say scary stuff like that. We make our money thanks to those streamers. The girl replies, that's not it. They completely ignore the essence. Even the players who put their lives on the line in the tower go through a lot of hardship. The guy says, Hatsuka, you get it, right? So why did you give up on the tower to stay in a place like this? Hatsuka answers, because it's boring, and you too. You gave up, right? If I were really free, I would have looked for a new talent for our streamer. The man says, no, I quit too, even though I'm only halfway through my skills. Then the man himself says, well, she started climbing the tower just to meet Narukami Subaru for one day. That's why she must have lost her purpose. Naturally, she also lost her motivation. So Hatsuka says, hey, there's a good guy here. The man asks her, what's the problem? Did you find another weirdo? Hatsuka replies, a new copycat of Narukami Subaru. He realizes she's talking about our hero, who has no one watching his stream except for one person. And that person is Hatsuka. The man says to her, really? Do you call this talent scouting? Don't mess with me. You're just watching from the second floor. And with 0 viewers, too. So Hatsuka says to him, yeah, that's true, but when I see someone wearing that mask, I can't help but raise my expectations sky high. She winks. The young man replies, I beg your pardon? Meanwhile, our protagonist is told by the system that the second floor test has begun. He must clear the cell of beginnings and move on, and achievement points will be awarded based on the monsters. So our protagonist says, the second floor test isn't so hard that I need to be nervous, but the feeling that someone is watching me puts a lot of pressure on me. And we see, then the money lover asks, which floor are you on? Is this your first time? Our protagonist replies, yeah, this is my first challenge. So the money lover says, are you confident? Is it really okay for you to relax right now? Since it's your first time, maybe you don't even know the way yet. At this point, he sees a bat flying straight at him to attack, but our hero catches it with one hand and then smashes it into the ground, destroying it. The system announces that the one eyed bat has been eliminated, and he asks his companion, is there a problem with that? Right now, I wasn't even paying attention. Then the system says that on the second floor, the beginner cells, the first ordeal has begun. He must purify the beginner cell and move on. We see that there are now 3 viewers on the stream, and one of them says, wow, amazing, your reactions are insane. Hold on a second. Are people streaming now from the second floor? Then another one replies, I see them from time to time, but they quickly drop out because their viewer count never increases and never grows at all. It's better for you not to be a lone straw and to wait for your team members so you can move together. So he says, we quit, you money lover. Thanks for the advice, even though that's not really possible. I want to take on this challenge myself. And there are 6 viewers with our hero, and one of them says, what? You didn't do your research. You're doomed for sure. The competitors these days are weird. Then our hero himself says, just using our name, Rakomi Saburo is my name, which means I tracked viewers without any effort. Suddenly, we see something strange attack our hero at an incredible speed, but our hero knocks it away with a swing of his sword. He says, for now, I'm determined to try and see how far I can go, and then a system window pops up, and it says that the Mud Apostle has been defeated and our hero has earned 2 achievement points. Then people in the comments ask, did any of you see anything? It started with people wondering whether I actually saw the Mud Apostle or not, and then a bunch of bats attack our hero, but he quickly slashes through them. Then the money lover, who had been around for a while, says, I didn't see what happened. Did something happen? Now there are 10 viewers watching the live stream with our hero, and the system says to him that he defeated a lot of bats, and even took down the Mud Apostles. So our hero says, if you focus all your attention on the sounds, you'll know which direction they're coming from. And how many of them are coming? The comments say, no, I know about this, but you lied. You're definitely not a beginner, because we know that too. Maybe you can do something like that. So our hero tells them, if you already know, then I'll just say whatever comes to mind. But he also says, that's still not enough. I want to rack up as many achievement points as possible before I leave here. And then one of the system members tells him, have you been walking in a straight line the whole time? One of them responds, man, the real guy just pushes forward in silence. And Sani tells him that. Didn't you do your research properly? You're gonna run into trouble if you keep charging ahead like that. But our hero keeps pushing forward, and then he finds a huge swarm of bats. They're all hanging from the ceiling, and suddenly their eyes open wide. The comments start coming in saying our hero is as good as dead. And then a notification pops up from the system. It says that a person named the Only Cat has logged a dead-end mission. If he defeats them all, everyone looks at our hero, and people in the comments ask, is he cheating? He's way too strong. Then our hero says, hey, Only Cat, thank you for the dead-end mission. After that, we see the person who caused all this saying, oh, what mistake did I make? I was just going along. He did everything right, even up to the 6th round, and now he says, give me my money back. Sorry, Hatsuka, was I too loud? But Hatsuka is really focused on the cat in front of her, and he asks her, why are you staring? Show me. So Hatsuka says, something's not right. He tells her, that guy's not betting a lot, by the way. Seriously, I have money to give you if I try to gamble again next time. Then Hatsuka says, that's not the point. Narakomi Subaru. The guy with her says, are you still watching that weird cat? How many people is he fighting alone? And we see that now he's with our hero. 15 people are watching his stream at first, and then we go back in a flashback and see. After that, one of our hero's friends says to him, Sparrow, you go after me, because even when you change the direction of your sword in the middle of a strike, your stance and your gaze don't waver. So he says to him, Sparrow, the direction of the sword, huh? His friend replies, yeah, it doesn't show. It just looks like you're taking them all out with a single blow from the start. Do you actually calculate the enemy's fluid movements? And do you plan your moves based on that, Selvin? So our hero looks on. After thinking about it, he says, honestly, I'm not really thinking about anything special, despite everything you're saying. So the man replies, ah, you're really annoying, by the way, Sopro. Then our hero says, it's better if you can't do that. His friend responds, Usually, no one can change the direction of the sword without it shaking at all. Then our hero, Shigori, says, "No, this is really strange. The important thing in communication is the kitchen of eye contact and instantly conveying information." Then our hero says, "When you run into a group of bats and it's all about eye contact, you don't have to think about targeting each of their eyes one by one. Bats, with their eye contact, always attack with their heads thrust forward, and the more of them there are, the more intense it gets." He pulls off that little move, for example, and then our hero starts swinging his sword, cutting through a bunch of bats. But people in the comments are saying that his explanation doesn't clarify anything, and that the one they used to call a beginner is now moving forward, and someone says that now he's on another level. Of course, the floor number is hidden, but he's getting lectured by a beginner who's still on the second floor. And our hero keeps interacting with social media. It's really tough. Oh, right, I almost forgot. Someone tells him, "Don't forget to collect the money you got from donations." So our hero looks at the performance, and he says, "How do I greet him?" So everyone in the comments starts laughing at him and tells him, "Regardless of your skills, you're definitely a beginner." During the live stream, he clicks the accept button for the mission at the top of the sandwich, and the system tells him, "Mission completed. You've received 100 coins from the only live stream." So our hero thanks them and says, "Alright, this will be the next thing." Now our hero has 20 people and 165 coins. As for Hatsuka, we go back to her and see her saying, "Wow, this is unbelievable. Everything he brings is really great." So he tells her, the guy says, "The person in trouble right now is you." So Hatsuka asks him, "What? Have you ever seen something like this before?" The young man with her replies, "You're really exaggerating your reaction." He says, "It's still just another normal thing, as you know." Hatsuka gets annoyed and says, "Of course, I'm exaggerating, right? Where are you from? Is he Narukomi Supra from Earth? Could this be fate? Could this be the embodiment of Narukomi Supra? We see this in novels and things like that, the stuff they call possession." Then the guy with her says, "This girl. When it comes to Narukami Supra, she completely loses her senses." Hatsuka says, "What should I do? What should I do now?" "Hiya, Hyun, if I close my eyes now." Hyun tells her, "No." So Hatsuka asks him, "What, can I close my eyes?" Then Hatsuka says, "Isn't that it? Are you really thinking of recruiting?" Hatsuka continues, "By the way, that's way too ideal in case you didn't know." Then Hatsuka says, "He might have a bit of sparkle, but he's a completely new and lonely type." Hatsuka adds, "I know that, son." But then Hatsuka says, "You don't know. If we tell the department head, we'll just get in trouble again, and that's it." So Hatsuka says to him, "And you, who just believed a moment ago, are acting all serious now. Just watch, you'll see what happens next." Then we see our hero arriving at another place, saying, "I've finally reached the end of the dungeon." He opens the door and says, "There you are, Zib Warrior Greg." We see a giant Zib warrior standing in front of our hero, and he says, "You always make comments that put pressure on me every time we see you. Let's keep it a secret that I fought against this guy. That's 8 times just to get past him, and the system says, here you go." Recognition from the Zib warrior. Passing through the gate allows you to move forward in the trial. So our hero says, the Zib warrior isn't a monster made for you to hunt, but a gatekeeper who evaluates the strength of players who make it through the beginner's dungeon and decides whether you can move forward or not. And the system says, a quest will be recorded if you defeat him. Our hero is surprised and says, "What? If I defeat him, I get 3,000 coins?" And now our hero has 20 people in the party. And the comments say, he probably got another game, and most likely he doesn't intend to manage that money. Plus, this isn't a monster you're supposed to defeat. Then, the wolf warrior Greg wakes up, stands in front of our hero, and says, "User, come here." And we see a notification from the system telling our hero that he must gain the recognition of the wolf warrior. Greg says, "What's this? Are you really alone?" Subaru replies, "Just like you see for yourself." Then the wolf says, "You're a human, but interesting. You have the scent of a great warrior." The comments say, "What does he mean by scent? The scent of a great warrior? He told me I smelled like trash, like the stench of a goblin corpse." Our hero himself says, "Warriors can have all kinds of scents. A wolf tribe can distinguish special scents, not the stench of decay, but an aroma that reveals a person's true nature." And we see Grick saying, "You already possess the ability to cross over. The test is done. Cross." So people in the comments are asking, what's up with this guy? Does he have some special ability? So there was a certain pattern here. Then he says, "Even in my own life, nothing like this has ever happened." And he adds, "Unfortunately, even though his goal is you." So Grick tells him, "I'm not the door behind me." And he replies, "Exactly." He says, "Someone ordered me to kill you." He ran just like I expected. So you're a man with the spirit of a great warrior. After that, we see Hatsuka and Song standing with the manager, and the manager says to them, "Okay, how many people are watching him right now? Tell me." We find out that this is the head of the Soten Entertainment Agency. His name is Jontel. Song says, "About 20." Hatsuka says, "No, it just passed 30 a little while ago." Song mutters to himself, "What difference does it make? It's all stupid anyway." Jontel says to them, "You guys are joking, right, Song? And are you plotting during work hours too? Do you think I'm oblivious to that? And when I ask you to promote a good person, you stick me with someone who barely has 20 viewers on his stream." Hatsuka corrects him. "It's 30." Jontel gets frustrated and says, "That's not the point, Hatsuka. Why don't you just stream yourself? Your skills are well known." And gaining fans is practically guaranteed. So Hatsuka says, "Section Chief Jontel, I just checked a while ago and he actually has over 40 viewers now." Jontel gets even more annoyed and says, "Wait, were you even listening to me at all?" After that, we see the warrior Greg Wave standing in front of our hero, and he draws his claw. Subaru tells us, "Don't think about anything." He draws the mysterious demon sword, which starts absorbing his abilities, and all his stats increase in proportion to the stamina consumed. But at that moment, Greed resists the backlash from the mysterious demon sword, and Subaru continues on his own. Even if this is your first time, do it the way you're used to doing it every time. Here, Greed charges at our hero at an incredible speed, but Subaru blocks the incoming blow. Greed then raises his hand for another strike, and the attack starts pushing our hero back with tremendous force, unleashing a barrage of fierce blows on him. Blows that could destroy anyone, but Subaru is Subaru, and he tells himself, "Calm down. Just like I remembered, trying to match him with brute strength alone is impossible." But here we see Greg saying, "This is what I was waiting for from the warriors," and he delivers a massive blow that shatters the ground, forcing our hero to fall back. Greg continues, "Even though you're not my equal right now," and our hero manages to block a very powerful strike. The blow comes from Greg, causing an explosion in the area, and he comments, "Hey, that's some serious defense. Is this going to be impossible in the end? Even so, this is madness. He's unbelievably strong. If he tries 2 or 3 more times, maybe he can pull it off. He must be regretting taking on this mission now. He could have just crossed normally. This is really tough." Subaru says to himself, "Sometimes certain techniques are more effective than brute strength." Then we see Greg saying, "You really entertained me, warrior, but this is the end." Greg attacks with his claw and blows up the spot where Subaru was, but Subaru has already passed right through him completely and says, "That was my line." Greg looks at him. Greg just stares at him from a distance. But our hero Subaru appears in front of him again and says, "Because your attacks follow a single pattern, it's actually really easy." We see the wounds all over Greg's body and the bleeding he's suffering from, and our hero says, "You can easily dodge them." Then he jumps again and lands a fatal blow. He puts his sword back in its place, announcing that Greg has been finished off. We see Greg saying, "You're a very strong warrior," and then Greg collapses to the ground. The system announces, "Warrior defeated. Level up! Your level is increased twice, strength increased twice, agility increased once, and focus increased once. Magical energy increased twice, and you gain 500 points. Achievement unlocked." And we see the comments are literally freaking out from the surprise, saying things like, "What? Did they really attack? Did he die? Man, that outfit is awesome." This is the first time anyone has ever beaten him, so they say, "Our champion has been defeated." The rest of the comments go, "He beat him all by himself. Respect to that guy. He recorded this mission and handed it over to the amazing Danashi. Honestly, we never thought he would actually beat him." The number of viewers reaches 56, the mission is completed, and our hero collects 3 Traff credits from Safe Assets. He says, "Use them wisely, Mr. Safe Assets." At this point, the door opens in front of our hero, and we see a ton of notifications from the system. People are saying something is shaking, and our hero sees a huge number of trials ahead. The trial of ice, the trial of flame, the trial of earth, the trial of nature, the trial of poisons, the trial of illusion, the trial of water, metal, spirit, darkness, the trial of light, and the trial of lightning. So everyone looks at the comments and says, 13? Are you serious? The highest known number right now is 16, right? That's the record. Man, I only got 2 myself. Then someone else replies, saying the number of options increases directly with the player's talent. The system asks, "Will you take on the trial of lightning?" People say, "It chose you, that's the spirit." If you don't choose lightning here, then there's no point in changing the name, so they tell them, "Explore it, definitely, no doubt." I'll choose the Trial of Lightning, and after that, after choosing the Trial of Lightning, we go. We head to the Steel Entertainment office and see Gentile hugging Song, and they're all happy, him, Hatsuka, and the rest. Hatsuka says he did it. 60 people already. What do you think? Has there ever been anyone who jumps his numbers up this sharply? And on top of that, usually the tasks are from 2 to 3, but 13 showed up, so Jintel tells her that's what makes it special. The secret of the punishment is to defeat the Zeeb warrior. As far as I know, no one has ever beaten him, not even once. Gentles continues to himself. Still, isn't he just a rookie who just moved up to the second floor? The risks we have to take to bet on him are really high. At this point, Hatsuka says, "Hey Chief, what do you think about making a bet with me?" When he asks her what kind of bet, Hatsuka replies, "If Mr. Super fails to get the badge, both my salary and Song's salary will be frozen for 5 years." And you can already see how shocked Song is by this, and Hatsuka continues. On the other hand, if he succeeds in getting the badge, I'll sign the contract with him immediately, no excuses. He says to her, "Song, wait a second, wait a second." And he nudges her like that and says, "Wait, I don't know this person and I have nothing to do with him." So he says, "Jaunty, do you think there's a real possibility, even though he only made it to the testing stage, the only player who ever got the lightning in all of life is Narukomi Super? As you know, I mean." So Hatsuka tells him, "You won't know until you try, right?" So Jaunty says to her, "Okay, whatever you are, I'm in for the bet. I accept your challenge too." So Song says, but Hatsuka shuts his mouth, so he can't talk. And we go back to our hero, Super, who's transported to another place. The system tells him that the lightning trial has started for him. And our hero says, "What's this?" Suddenly, someone comes and tells him, "Be careful." Then he takes our hero away to a distance, and we see an explosion in the area where our hero was just a moment ago. And we see that the one who caused the explosion is actually a giant creature or being. The man who saved him asks, "What were you daydreaming about exactly? Do you want to die?" But then our hero gets a notification from the system that he has to defeat the giant character. So our hero says to himself, "What is this? Why is this monster here?" And the giant raises his hand again, or rather his massive hammer. And the comments are like, "What's going on? Wasn't this supposed to be the lightning trial?" This guy is a monster from the giant race arc. Why did he suddenly show up like this? So Subaru says to himself, "A boss level monster. He was supposed to appear in the second half of the trial. Did something change? Because I defeated Greg." And the giant slams down his massive hammer, blowing up the whole place. But our hero manages to dodge the attack. He says to himself, even though he's huge, his build is way weaker than Greich's. Well, I did a good job learning this info beforehand. So the guy who saved our hero a little while ago runs over and says, "Hey, after I saved you and went through all that trouble, hurry up and get out of here." Subaru thinks to himself, "I guess I'll clean up this mess quickly before anyone else shows up." Our hero pulls out the mysterious demon sword, which starts draining the user's health. But the stake agreed resists the sword's backlash. Then the giant attacks our hero again and blows up the whole area around him. But our hero Subaru, with incredible speed, jumps up high. Just like they do in Attack on Titan, he gets behind the giant's neck and lands a blow from behind, piercing its throat. And the giant lets out a long scream that marks his death. Subaru tells him, "You're someone who makes a lot of noise. Die for the rest of your life." And our hero finishes off the giant with just one blow. Then the system says you have defeated the giant character. You've acquired the fourth stage. So people in the comments are like, "What? The fourth stage? The fourth stage?" And the system says, level increased by 3, strength increased by 2, agility by 1, health by 2, defense by 1. You've gained 4,000 achievement points. You have acquired the item, Giant's Heart. You have acquired the item, Thunderstrike. The person who saved our hero is just as surprised as the commenters that it's 4,000 points. And from stage 1 to stage 4 all at once. So someone in the comments says he killed the wolf warrior, Greg, with a perfect completion of stages 1 to 3. Then we see this guy running over and saying, "You, who are you for God's sake?" So Subaru tells him, "You can figure it out just by looking, right? I came here to defeat the giants." Then later, in some village, we see our hero sitting in a room and people are telling him, "Show us the item, please, show us, show us." We're betting it's at least a magical rank, maybe even a rare one. So our hero says to them, "I was curious too, honestly. Let's take a look together." And our hero pulls out the Heart of the Giants, a rare rank, a ring carved from a giant's heart that boosts health and recovery. So Subaru tells us accessory items are valuable, they increase your health. I also like the effect. It just so happened that I wanted a shield too. And we find the second item, which is Thunderstrike, a shield infused with the power of thunder. It can use Thunderstrike once a day, and it cancels abnormal conditions like cold, fire, and other effects. The remaining uses before it breaks are 3. So people in the comments are saying, wow, even with the equipment restriction that it can only be used up to the 5th floor. Then someone named Lulu in the comments says, no, the giant's heart is an item that lasts for a lifetime. Its value is what makes it essential in the first place. Our hero puts on the shield and the ring, and the system says that Rakami Koi records a mission worth 5,000 credits. If he learns lightning, our hero says, thank you, Rakami Koi. Thank you for that. And the system says, I'll log in and add 5,000 credits for the same mission. And also, the mission villain logs a mission worth 3,000 for the same task. Safe arrival. He got a lot of hearts and 7,000 credits. So our hero, Subro, says to them, thank you all. I'll show you all this lightning right now, for sure. And he says to himself, are there really that many people waiting for the lightning? Maybe his presence had a bigger purpose than I thought. Then someone knocks on the door, and people in the comments are saying they know who's behind that door. Right away, a guy with blonde hair comes in, and he's brought along the person our hero saved, or actually, the one who saved our hero first. The man says to him, sorry for making you wait. This is the leader of the village knights, Lord Bellos. Lord Bellos chats with our hero for a bit. He says, lately, the giant attacks have been happening more often. The other person adds, we knights are on alert 24/7, fully armed to ensure their safety. We ask the villagers to avoid going out unless it's absolutely necessary. Who would have thought we'd meet a stranger at a time like this? Bellos says, I heard you protected the village in my absence on behalf of the villagers. Thank you. Our hero replies, no, I just did what anyone would do. Bellos thinks to himself, this guy's the face of the village. And a brave knight stands tall against the giants. Bellos continues speaking. Fortunately, during this scouting mission, we managed to discover the leader of the giant race. We're risking our lives to try and surround him. That's why I feel a great sense of shame. So I ask you, would you honor us by saving our village? So people in the comments are saying, Bellos, don't die. Then our hero himself says, according to my memories. So in the next stage, I'm sure Bellos is gonna die. Then our hero tells him, hold your head up, Bellos, please. I will cooperate with you. Bellos thanks him a lot. And the system announces that the 5th stage, survival, has begun. Then we see the village knights all walking together, with our hero Subaru among them, looking at his device and saying, as the number of viewers increases, the comments are coming in faster and faster. I can't communicate properly like this. Then Bela says, wait a minute, that's him. Then the person who saved our hero points to another man and says, that's the giant leader. Bellos says, I'll draw his attention. And you, our assistant, attack him from behind. Our hero says to him, hold on a second. Bellos looks surprised and asks, what is it? Is there something wrong? Our hero replies, that thing isn't human. And right after that, the giant leader looks at them, and giants start emerging from underground and begin attacking all the knights. Bellos is shocked and says, what is this? Why did this happen? One of the giants grabs one of the knights and starts tearing him apart, biting into him with his teeth like that. Bellos is stunned and sees a terrifying look on the giants' faces. Bellos shouts, everyone, get back under the plane, quickly, hurry! Everyone at the scene starts running, leaving Bellos behind. All the giants start laughing. The giants scream with long drawn-out cries. After that, he sees a lot of people getting trampled. Bellos says, that's an order from me. All of you, run! Think about your families in the village. This isn't the end. We'll start over again. I'm counting on you to lead Balkir. After that, they all start running. And we see our hero, Super. He says, you too, run, hurry up. Bellos sees our hero standing in front of him, so he tells them, you too, run away quickly. Rebuild the knights and face the giants again. Our hero replies, that's my message to you, my words for you. You're not planning to run away, Bellos says to him. What do you mean? Our hero says to him, I can't move freely while you're here. If you refuse to leave, then we'll die together. Bellos says to him, but how could I abandon a stranger and run away? I could never do something like that. Our hero says to him, don't make me repeat myself. Bellos says to him, then I'll gather the soldiers and come back for you. If you can hold out until then, we're coming back. So our hero thanks him, and Bellos says to him, I go you. Please stay safe. Then we see all the giants attacking our hero, but our hero charges at them, draws his sword, and says, I'm your opponent here. He cuts off the leg of the first giant, sending him flying far through the air. He leaves him without a leg at all, until he falls to the ground. The rest of the giants notice him. The system announces that the capture of 2 giants has been completed. That is, 2 giants have been defeated. He earns 20 achievement points. So our hero says, super. Whether this is a test or not, I'm not used to being left alone. Then he sees Bellos running, but while he's running, he stops for a second. He looks back at the place he escaped from, and it seems like he wants to go back. Then we cut back to our hero, and people in the comments are saying to him, "Do you feel like you want to die? That's definitely suicide. There are way too many of them. All you had to do was survive, right? Why'd you go back for the others?" The outcome changes depending on how many soldiers survive. Isn't this about survival? This game is impossible like this. So Subaru says himself, including Pelos, who was supposed to die. In my current situation, maybe I can save everyone. And we see the giants attacking our hero, but our hero dodges and defeats one of them. He strikes the second one and beats him too, and the third as well. This system says that the unknown demon sword has started to drain our hero's stamina, but the stake of resolve tries to resist it, and our hero tells us, it's not hard if you deal with them one by one. The real problem lies in how long I can borrow the power of the demon sword. Here, I need to secure my field of vision well and find the boss. Then he jumps onto one of the giants, smashes its face, and uses it as a platform to climb up. He goes up really high. Then he jumps onto the face of another giant, and then onto the second in the heart. He starts bouncing between them at an incredible speed. Everyone in the comments agrees that Narikomi Subaru was a specialist in intense battles. So they see our hero as just like the old Narikomi Subaru. The Stake of Dread tries to resist the recoil of the unknown demon sword. And our hero himself says there's a change in stamina consumption. The equipment really does make a difference. I have to find the boss quickly before I reach my limit. Then he spots a giant in the distance. A giant with a beard like that? And he says he finally found her. So the giant laughs in his face, and he gets a hammer ready to smash his face in with it. And our hero himself says, if I don't finish this in one blow, I'm the one who's finished. Please, let this work. And our hero strikes, using thunder. And then the whole battlefield shakes. The arena, really. And all the giants start falling to the ground. Then our hero jumps on top of one of the giants, their boss, and he blows his head up from above, leaving him a lifeless corpse on the ground. And the system says that the giant seed has been defeated, and the 5th survival stage has been successfully cleared. You've achieved an amazing feat. Your level is increased, your strength is increased, your agility, your endurance, and mana. So people start commenting. Has anyone ever beaten it before? Oh my god, chill. How is that even possible? Can you even beat it in the first place? This isn't even that kind of stage. When did a chance to kill it even appear? Defeating something you're not supposed to defeat. A real troublemaker. So Sabra says himself, if this were the story of a manga hero, this would have been an amazing ending. Then a huge bolt of lightning strikes the sky, and we see the giants rise again. Our hero looks at the mysterious demon sword, and the wedge of dread fails to resist it any longer. Then Subro tells us, that's right, even if you clear the stage, the monsters won't disappear until the test is over. Who would have thought that the system I took advantage of last time would make me suffer now? This is really God. I'm completely out of strength. And we see all the giants closing in on our hero, who's bleeding heavily from his mouth. And suddenly, lightning starts to gather around Sho. This lightning is a mix of yellow and black, swirling together. It strikes down on our hero, hitting him with a powerful blow, right as all the giants are attacking him. After that, we switch to another place, a distant place, deep in a dense forest with lots of trees and a strange little cabin. We see a girl sitting there. Then our hero's friend comes up to her and asks, what are you doing in a place like this? The girl replies, the weather's beautiful, isn't it? And the breeze is nice too. This kind of enjoyment only comes around during this time of year. Then our hero's friend says to her, it's almost time, huh? She replies, yeah, 1 year at most. Then he says to her, it's time to wrap everything up. But the girl doesn't respond to him. So he says, you're really strange. You zone out while we're having a serious conversation. What are you staring at so intently? She replies, oh, there's someone over there claiming to be Narukami Subaru. Then her friend Subaru says, did you just say Subaru? She replies, yeah, that's definitely not Subaru. He's just pretending to be Narukami Subaru, that's all. A streamer is currently doing the second floor challenge, and you know that too. Right, if Subaru had survived that incident, he would have taken his family out of this tower a long time ago. So our protagonist's friend asks her, what do you mean by that? She tells him Subaru is dead. You need to accept that fact, that's enough. He says to her, let's put this conversation aside for now. Then the girl, Shigira, says to him, try to understand me. How long are you going to keep hiding in that boy's shadow? He replies to her, Shigeru, and what about you? What are you doing? What are you doing? Is that why you keep letting yourself be trapped by these silly things? He takes the device from her hand, so she tells him, I'm just passing the time, that's all, really. But she's really surprised when she sees something for a moment. Shigor says to her, even at this moment. But as soon as he looks at the device, he too is shocked and says, is this? Then we go back to the lightning happening with our hero, Super, who's being attacked by all the giants. But the lightning starts to shoot out from our hero's body. The system tells him, "You've acquired the lightning skill. You've earned 2,000 achievement points for progressing to the next trial. Do you want to move to the second floor?" But our hero gets himself ready to fight even more. And people are commenting, "Is this for real? Oh my god, this is insane. Is that really how you get it?" The difficulty level here just doesn't make any sense, guys. How do you even learn lightning? You're asking us, huh? Defeat the giant tribe's boss. Logically, no one ever said Rokum Super was anything before, so Super tells us, no, usually this isn't something you're supposed to acquire here. And we see that the AoE plus rank lightning consumes both stamina and mana to use the power of lightning. You can level it up by adding other lightning shards. And Super tells us, at least I didn't die. And that's good enough. The trial stopping at that moment really saved me. And among all the comments and system notifications Super gets, he tells them, "Thank you all for what you did. I promise to give a thank you performance every time I receive support." And our hero resumes the trial. And we see the rest of the giants all attacking our hero, who says, "I'll show you this thing right now." And 20,000 coins are consumed. And the skill Piercing Stake levels up to level 2. Then it reaches level 3 and resists the backlash caused by the lightning. And Super tells us, "I wanted to let it flow through my entire body, but..." And the power of lightning settles in our hero's hand. Then Super continues, crushing one after another. After that, we see the giants reaching our hero and about to strike him, but our hero uses the lightning inside the mysterious demon sword, and a red lightning shoots out. So Super continues, "Should I unleash my eyes just once, exactly like before?" Our hero delivers a cutting lightning strike with the mysterious demon sword, and he slices all the giants in front of him in half. He literally destroys them. He proves to everyone that he is the real Narukami Subro. And he says to himself, "Pam, I was sure I would save a bit of strength so I could make it back." But at that moment, we see him stab his sword into the ground so he doesn't fall. And he continues, "But I underestimated the amount of energy I used." And here we see Bellis arriving with his group. And he's shocked, he's surprised by the number of giants. And from our hero, who's standing there running toward him and saying, "Our savior, are you okay?" But Super says, "Idiot, you came back again." But then our hero, Super, closes his eyes. After that, we go back to Souten for some entertainment. And we see Hitsuka acting all mysterious like that. And while Jonti and Song are standing there, Song says, "Was it really necessary for her to go that far?" Jonti replies, "Don't ask me, I really don't understand girls' hearts." Then we see Hitsuka saying, "This is really bad. What I have to do now?" And she's really embarrassed. She says, "I'm afraid I came off a bit cold with my words. What if it just sounded like a formal work message? I should have added a few better things." So Song says to her, "Excuse me, Hatsuka, but to me it just seemed like a work message." So are you one of those people who's obsessed to the point of craziness? So Jonte continues, "Honestly, I thought you wanted to be the manager for the streamer." So Hetsuka says to him, "Hey manager, why would I want to be his manager before anything else? I'm just a passionate fan. I don't have any other tricks up my sleeve. Not to mention, she has her reasons, and I already told you that, right, Daz? That lightning is something only Narukami Subaru has mastered, no one else. No one has ever been able to use it before, and no one will be able to in the future. So now it's exclusive to Narukami Subaru and his group only." So Song, catching his breath, says, "We managed to protect the salaries." So Jonti says, "No wonder no one else has been able to acquire it. He's definitely someone worth keeping an eye on." Then Song says to him, "Yeah, boss, it looks like Narukami Subaru saw the message, but he didn't reply to us." Asuka is shocked and actually faints on her feet from the embarrassment and the intense shock she just experienced. Now, we move on to another place. We see a place filled with figurines. Figurines, you know, those little toys shaped like certain characters. We see someone sitting in front of a computer and a bunch of screens, kind of like a setup. We find out that this person is a streamer who specializes in analyzing player battles thanks to his sharp insight and extensive experience. He crushed the competition and established an unshakable reputation for himself. His name is Hawkeye. He always showcased his sharp analyses while reviewing recordings of many players. Among them was Kuroko Amon, who had recently joined the Blue Zone under Kyojo. At that time, Hawkeye announced that the Dark Horse had appeared and would make his way up the tower at breakneck speed. Some even call him the second Narukomi. Now it's Hawkeye's time. We also learn that among them was Kazuki Kyojo, the former member of the original Blue Eyes. Hawkeye continues, saying that Kyojo is now a player representing planet Earth. The pressure on him must be enormous. But today, I want to take a closer look at his skills. Even when you think of a player who's way ahead of the rest, who comes to your mind? Most of you probably think of that guy right now. Yeah, Narukomi Super. And of course, the legendary generation-spanning Narukomi Saburo was no exception for Hawkeye. And then we see him passing and saying, "Welcome." Hawkeye greets you all. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we'll set the target with Hawkeye and break down the style of the most prominent player right now, the one who streams Narukomi Saburo. So the comments say, Narukomi Saburo is back. Do you mean the not original version? Is he still on the second floor? Isn't it a bit too early for us to analyze him? So there are multiple versions of Narukomi Saburo. Tuba, is this a new Subaru? So Hawkeye tells him, hold on, don't criticize me like that right from the start. And they look at the things our hero Saburo has done, and everyone is amazed by him. So Hawkeye tells them, this is what's happening. Oh my god. No. What kind of insane focus is that? No human could use a skill they just learned with that much mastery. He mastered the skill so well that he only poured exactly the amount needed into his blade to wipe out the giants, without wasting a single drop of his energy. So the comments are saying, is something like this even possible? Are we the only ones who didn't get it? So Hawkeye himself says, precise control, high-level technique, and focus that makes the impossible possible. The insight to use all of that exactly where it belongs. He didn't make a single mistake throughout this entire fight, literally. I'm betting half of you don't even understand what your own eyes are seeing. And then he tells them there's no such thing as impossible. This young man is gonna be something great. I'm gonna keep watching him closely during the next Hawkeye session. And when they ask him for today's summary, he tells them, Hawkeye. Oh right, I forgot to give Hawkeye's brief for summarized comment. If we focus just on the control aspect and speak with absolute precision, he could even surpass Narukami Subaru at his peak. And he's actually talking about Subaru, our protagonist. Then we go to our hero Subaru, who wakes up, and the system tells him that stage 6 is on standby, and all fatigue has completely disappeared. There are two conditions that must be met for the ordeal to activate again. And our protagonist tells us there are two conditions we need to fulfill in order to temporarily suspend the ordeal. We have to complete stage 7, and the next stage must not have started yet. And the fatigue level has to be 0. In other words, he has to be in perfect health. Subaru himself confirms, fatigue level 0, but my mind is still exhausted. Maybe I can pause the ordeal for a little while. Then he literally finds 700 people standing in his stream, and he tells them, we're done. Thanks y'all for watching right now. And he wonders to himself, when did the viewer count get this high? Subaru continues, apologizing, but the next stream will be the day after tomorrow. I'm gonna take a day off now. And with that, our hero Subaru ends his live stream. He goes somewhere and realizes it's the stage exploration. He gets closer, and he also sees the message coming from Souteen Entertainment Agency. So our hero says, spam mail. Wait a second, Souteen Entertainment? Then we see him sitting somewhere, and he reads about Souteen Entertainment Agency, that it's a big company working as a multi-channel network, and it mainly manages streamers' work. And it's considered one of the fastest growing companies, thanks to its bold investments and unlimited support for content creators. Then Subro continues on his own. The world really has changed, to the point that companies like this exist. In fact, it's a huge company, considered among the elite of multi-channel networks in the entertainment sector. And he also reads about Hawkeye and the things they were saying about him. So he says he's Hawkeye. So he's a streamer affiliated with Souteen, and he's also got a big reputation because of his blunt, no-nonsense style. Still, I say he's got a sharp eye. And at that moment, we see someone coming into the same cafe where our protagonist is. And he hears someone on the device saying, in terms of control alone, he could rival Narakami Subaru at his peak. So this guy says, don't mess with me. He only just made it to the second floor a little while ago. What Hawkeye? What kind of nonsense is that? As soon as I get past this place, I'll rip both his eyes out of their sockets. Diana, my mood's been ruined since this morning. Then he enters the place, and who does he find in front of him? Our hero, Subaru. And he says, what's this? Is this just a bad luck day for me or something? Why do I keep seeing weird things like this? Then he walks up to our hero's table and pours him some coffee. So our hero stands up and says, what's this? What are you doing? So Isaac says to him, sorry Subaru, we've been getting distracted a lot lately. The second floor is really cramped, but our hero Subaru doesn't respond to him. So Isaac says, Should I make it up to you for the price of the coffee? You're always broke. That's why it'll be like this. But our hero ignores him and walks away. So Isaac says to him angrily, any second now. I'm sure I warned you last time. Hey, you come here, you bastard, you cursed one. He grabs our hero by his clothes and says, I'm gonna wipe that arrogant look off your face. Do you think I'm just gonna let this slide? If you wanted to get beaten up that badly, you should have just asked for it. Honestly, I'll beat you up again just like the old days. Exactly how you want it. But our hero grabs him by the arm and throws his arm away. He tells him, I don't have time for this today. So Isaac gets angry, looks at his hand, and sees that it's starting to burn. He says to himself, was he always this strong? And our hero continues, let's just say you've paid me back for the coffee. Thanks for the hospitality. So Isaac says to him, hey, you, come here right now. But our hero shuts the door and leaves Isaac behind. Isaac says, I've always tried to climb the tower just once without causing chaos. First it was Narikomi Subaru, and now it's just Subaru. No one ever stops messing with me. Then our hero heads out and says, oh right, I need to write to them. Then he writes a letter to Hatsuka saying he wants to meet her. Somewhere else underground, we see our hero has defeated a lot of monsters. The system tells him, entering the boss room of the exiled lizard's hideout. The greed stake, level 3, is withstanding the effect of the unknown demon sword. So Subaru tells us, even though I'm gradually getting used to this body, there's still something strange. Then the boss, the salamander, appears and attacks our hero quickly. Subaru continues, and to avoid repeating what happened last, I have to master using lightning completely. I need to test the maximum power I can unleash. Our hero charges lightning into his legs. Then he jumps at incredible speed. He uses a technique he used a long time ago. He channels lightning into the mysterious demon sword. With a decisive strike, he attacks the salamander. He slices through its fire. The system says that the stake agreed is trying to withstand the lightning backlash, but it fails. Our hero gets a bit more exhausted, but he finishes his attack and clears the exiled lizard's hideout dungeon. His level goes up, and his strength, physical, and magical abilities all increase. After our hero leaves the place he was in, he says, the effect of reducing stamina consumption is better than I expected. I've still got a long way to go before I reach exhaustion. This way, I can increase my strength even more. But doubling the upgrade points is a bit harsh. It takes a lot to level up the skill. He's talking about the withering stake. He goes on, I wish someone would just show up out of nowhere and offer me a decent job. And here we see Isaac saying, did you say hunting? Our hero's surprised. Isaac continues, so you're a hunter, huh? We've known each other for a long time. Still, it's really surprising that you're hunting here in the real world now, not just in the tower. Our hero says to him, you're a man who never lets things slide, huh? Isaac replies, believe me, I thought about it, but my anger pushes me to the very limit. What do you say we end this right here and now? Saburo says to himself, this guy. Then we cut back to Hawkeye, and we see him entering a place as someone calls out to him from afar, and that person is Gentle. Hawkeye says to the story's long, right? Gentle replies, yeah. How's Bastian? Hawkeye says to her, right now there's no problem. The viewers are pretty much the same. That's why the numbers don't change much. Gentile says, that's actually healthier. What grows slowly doesn't collapse quickly. Hawkeye says to him, anyway, why did you call all of a sudden like that? You wouldn't call me just so we could sit and have tea together. Get to the point, Gentle. Gentil says to him, you are always sharp, just like your nickname Hawkeye suggests. It's about Narikomi Subaru, the one you reviewed yesterday. Were you being serious? Hawkeye says to him, ugh, that newbie. Yeah, just like I said. His talent surpasses even Narikomi Subaru at his peak. But reaching Narikomi Subaru's level is a whole different story. Gentil says to him, I see. So that's your assessment. Hawkeye asks him, why? Gentile says, I'm thinking of recruiting him to our agency. Hawkeye gets excited and says, just as I expected, you've got a good eye. You know how to pick him. But his viewer count is way too low for Soten to care about him. His popularity is weak too. Gentle replies, that's true. But what you just said made me even more confident in him. Let's do a joint stream between you and this Narikomi Subaru. It'll boost his views and popularity. That's our job. We go back to Isaac, who says, it's just the two of us. That's our job. The hero replies, yeah, that's true. Then Isaac says to him, and since what's happening now is because you rushed in and entered the cell without thinking, and since you don't have a single scratch on your body, it's obvious you ran away immediately. I told you to stay out of it, my friend. With the logic of someone who just got lucky. Do you think you're the real Narikomi Subaru? Are you dreaming of mastering lightning skills like that streamer? The streamer Narukami? Hot damn Super, if he dies, he should stay buried quietly in the dirt and not bother us with legends. All these idiots really get on my nerves. Isn't that right? So Super himself says, I never expected an era full of Narukami super copies, including myself. And he says to our hero, listen, let me ask you a question. Why do you treat me as such an enemy? So Isaac tells him, that's because your name is Super. Then Super asks him, and why do you hate that name? Everyone loves it, don't they? So Isaac replies to him, hey, how can you say that when you know who my father is, huh? Then Super asks him, hey, show some respect for your father. You keep bringing up your dad every now and then, even though you're an adult now. So Isaac says to him, Reinhard, the top rank of the ninth floor? Our hero is surprised and says, Reinhard? Don't tell me, the one-hit wonder? And then we go into a flashback. We see Narukami Subaru putting his sword back in its place again, and we hear a voice saying, this is unbelievable. Narukami Subaru, the blue-eyed guy who shot up from Earth like a comet. He defeated Reinhard from the Rune continent with just one blow. And literally everyone there is amazed. And Reinhard is lying on the grab, the voice continues. All of this happened in less than 30 seconds. We see Reinhard on the ground saying, wait, I can still fight. But Reinhard collapses to the ground. And then we return to the present. We see Isaac saying, hey, you bastard, don't mention that name so lightly. So Subaru says to him, so basically the reason you hate me is because I'm bad at fighting. I mean, because of your father's title, right? Do you even know how much Narukami Subaru has suffered because of that? Tech, you really understand all of this, don't ya? So Isaac says to him, shut up. If you say one more word right now, no, that's it. It's over. Then Isaac activates his flaming hand and says, there's no need to talk to you anymore. Just come at me now. He attacks our hero with his flaming hand. He continues, I hate Narukami Subaru. I hate him so much that just hearing his name makes me want to throw up. He's not special in any way. Yet he gets all the attention and acts like he's above everyone else. Because of that leader, he and his followers are arrogant, just like me and the others with him. And now they deserve it. Maybe somewhere in hell, they're rotting and getting what they deserve. When you took that name, you inherited his legacy. And he fires a blazing attack at our hero, Super, blowing up the whole place. He says, yeah, looks like I lost control of myself during the fight, even though he was almost a friend. What kind of horror have I just done? And I have to go fight that masked troublemaker. So Super says to him, masked, huh? The dust clears, and our hero, Super, appears, wearing the mask. Isaac asks, you mean me, right? Isaac says to him, impossible. How did you take my attack head on like that? Super replies, that doesn't feel so good, does it? Getting beaten by a kid your own age. He approaches Isaac and lands a devastating lightning punch right in Isaac's stomach, knocking him to the ground. He's literally writhing in pain, bleeding a lot. Super continues, why did you hurt my friends? What did they ever do to you? Isaac asks, why? This can't be. So Subaru says to him, now answer my question. Who is it that's standing in front of you right now? Tell me, is it the weak Subaru you used to bully and make cry? Or is it Narukami Subaru, the masked one? Or Narukami Subaru with the blue eyes? Isaac replies, don't mess with me. Are you saying you're the one who made this mess? Even Narukami Subaru, with all his lightning, is as worthless as you. He'll see that. Do you even realize the level I'm about to show you? You'll never beat me. Someone as weak and insignificant as you. Learning this art proves that I'm even greater than that blue-eyed Narukami Subaru. Isn't that right, you damned thief? And he attacks our hero. But our hero knocks his arm off and sends it flying through the air with just one blow. Isaac is shocked, and our hero continues. Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer. It's amazing how you can say all that nonsense in such a short time. So Isaac says to him, 1 second, what do you mean? Our hero replies to him, do you know how much he and Subaru suffered because of what you did to him? It's not a good feeling, right? To be humiliated by someone your own age? So Isaac says to him, don't tell me, are you one of the blue-eyed Naros? But before Isaac can finish, our hero says to him, the game is over, and so are you. I did you a favor, more than you deserve. Consider it a thank you for letting me borrow your body, Subaru Osui. Then Isaac collapses to the ground, lifeless. After that, we see people saying, what was all that? Then one of the girls in the cafe says, he's just a fan obsessed with Subaru's fire. Doesn't he feel ashamed that he's still streaming even now? Then our hero Subaru speaks up. And as a content creator, I've stuck to the policy of never showing Subaru's real face. That's a big advantage. My enemies don't know what I look like. Then a voice comes in saying, "Sorry for making you wait. It was an honor to meet you. I'm the one who contacted you. I'm the manager, Hatsuka." She greets our hero, Subaru, and she tells him, "It was an honor to meet you." She sits down, thinking to herself, they really do look alike. If Narikomi Subaru came back to life, it would definitely be him, no doubt. What if he's hiding his face while singing because he's impersonating someone else? So our hero asks her, "Is there something strange?" Hatsuka replies, "Ah, yes." At this point, she remembers what Jaunty told her. Making a great first impression to earn the client's trust is our key. Do you understand me, Hatsuka? Not at all. Never show any sign of nervousness on your face. You get it? Engrave this advice in your mind. But Hatsuka realizes she totally messed up here. Then our hero asks her, "Were you a fan of Narikomi Subaru?" Hatsuka replies, "Yes, of course, I'm obsessed with him." Our hero tells her, "I'm not the police, don't worry." And then he adds, "Besides, you're younger than me, manager." Hatsuka tells him, No, I'm a fan of yours too. Actually, I've been following you since you had 0 viewers. Meaning, I was your very first viewer when you took down the bat and passed the Greek test. And then the land test, so you could face him fairly. I was shocked. And then, with those quick, light moves, bam, bam, bam. I was honestly excited at that moment. But here, Subaru thinks to himself, was she really my very first viewer? She remembers more details than I even do. And Subaru tells her, "I was totally lost back then. It's amazing that you were watching me." So Hatsuka says to him, "Isn't that right? That's incredible. That's fate. That's why I went straight to the company and begged him to let me be your manager." And now she tells herself, from now on, be professional so we can earn their trust. Then she pulls something out of her bag and tells him, "The contract is already ready. And since you're busy, I'll keep it short for you." Ads, clips, events, all the added value we can get from the Narikomi name, we'll be the ones to create it. So Subaru asks her, "And what exactly am I supposed to do?" Hatsuka tells him, "Just keep streaming like you're doing now." That's all there is to it. He tells her, "So being a streamer is really that easy, huh?" So Hatsuka tells him, "That's because you're the first person to master the brand. And on top of that, you're the head of the department. And everyone in the company really appreciates you. So what do you think now? Do these terms work for you?" He tells her, "We're done. Are all the managers at Soten Company like you, Hatsuka?" Hatsuka is shocked and says, No, everyone else is way more skilled and professional than me. It's not that I'm putting myself down or anything." He tells her, "No, that's not what I meant by my question." And he thinks to himself, judging by the state she's in, she's not even an ordinary player. How did someone at her level manage to rise this high? In short, the opponents I'll be facing from now on are going to be much stronger. I don't have time to rest. I need to speed up my progress. And Hatsuka thinks to herself, I have to seem as trustworthy to him as possible. What will happen if he refuses? Do I have to force him to sign? He tells her, "I've realized you're someone I can trust." He reaches out his hand and Atsuka says to him, "Really?" So Subaru says to her, "Please take care of me." Hatsuka replies, "I'm the one who should be saying that to you. Please take care of us, I beg you." After that, we see our protagonist go live again. He started his stream, and we see everyone joining his stream. He has 700 viewers on his stream from the very first moment he went live. He's really surprised and wonders, is this thanks to Hatsuka or maybe her promotion? Alright, let's get started right away. Everyone get ready. Then a notification pops up from the system announcing the start of the legendary 6th stage. After that, in the middle of heavy rain, we see all the knights gathered together. The village knights, I mean. And with them is Belos. And he's asking, "Where's the savior?" So the other guy tells him, "Yeah, that's right." Then a third one says, "I have some doubts. Do we really have to trust someone who isn't even a knight?" And another one responds, "It's true, it's hard to believe. He's a stranger. He just showed up out of nowhere and defeated the leader of the giant race all by himself. If only Belos had seen that with his own 2 eyes. So maybe it's all just a trick, nothing more." Then a fourth one asks, "Was that really the leader of the giant race, not just a subordinate?" So Belos says to them, "How can you say something like that, huh?" Then another person says, "Sir Belos, the savior is awake and right." So Belos runs over to talk to our hero and asks him, "Are you alright, savior?" Our hero says to him, "Thank you. I can walk normally now, without needing any help." The knights say, "This is the hero who defeated the leader of the giant race. He doesn't look that impressive, but his manners are polite. That bow seems a bit suspicious." So Subaru says to them, "Looks like you don't believe I actually beat him. Or maybe you just don't want to believe it." And then we get a look at a flashback. In it, we see Hatsuka saying, "By taking a preset stance, you can adjust the microphone frequency so only the audience hears the sound." Our hero says himself, That's a really useful feature in boring situations like this. Then Subaru says, "What's with all this rudeness?" Then someone comes in and says, "First, let me thank you. I'm Dale." Our hero replies, "I'm really happy to meet you." Yeah, I was protecting the village, but everyone got trampled. Our hero is surprised and asks, "How?" Dale answers, "Ah, by this guy." Our hero says to him, "This guy? Is there someone more dangerous than the boss?" Dale replies to him, "Yeah, exactly. As you know, the real giants who once fought the rulers were sealed away somewhere and disappeared. Most of the giants here now are nothing more than ideas or remnants left behind by the great giants. But the giant that appeared after the boss you killed is very different. He's the descendant of the legendary giants. I can't believe these beings still exist." So people are saying in the comments, that means no one has ever gotten past the 8th floor. That's why we can't be sure if it's real, so how are we supposed to defeat it in the first place? And here, Subaru says, then we have no choice but to defeat him. So Dale says to him, "What is this? You're a man who's really confident in himself. We're in a situation where we need help. So is that an impossible request?" Then Billow says, "Oh, Sager, there's a legend passed down from ancient times that at the peak of the towering Millennium Mountain lies the hidden shard of healing, and the only one who can find it is the Savior, no one else." Our hero looks at him. Then we go to the village and see many people running away from the giants that are appearing. And we see someone saying, "Badal, my son." And that big giant grabs one of the people. And he starts crushing him and says, "I'll hold your funeral with the blood of humans and take revenge for you against them." At this point, our hero sees them from afar and says, "Is that the creature you were talking about?" Then the comments come in. "Was it my son who was defeated before? This one is huge. Is this a real giant?" So Super says, "He's actually trying to kill us." Then the comments say, "Are you trying, Mina, to kill him?" Man, a lot of weird stuff is happening. Yeah, Mina, please be fair. Then we see Belos telling our hero in a flashback, "It'll probably take the giants about 3 days to get here. If you can't find the lightning shard by then, just run away. That's the only way to protect the Sager's life." And at Millennium Mountain, we see Super saying the giant's need for the lightning call is indispensable. This might be the key to the ordeal we're in. So people in the comments are telling him, "Go back to your place, son. You can try again, so it's not a problem." Then our hero, Super, tells them, "No, there's no trial in this tower. I couldn't get through it." And here Subaru himself says, "Damn it, I accidentally used an old phrase I used to say in my previous body." So people in the comments are telling him, "You lost your mind." Come on, man. I've heard that phrase before. Is that some kind of special catchphrase? And the system says he got a new quest from the source of safety. Defeat him for 3,000 coins. And he got a new quest from the robot, Chromes. Double the reward if you defeat him. And he got a new reward from the part-time job. Just a small code for 10 minutes. So he says, "Super, good thing no one caught me." Then he pulls his horse, gets off, and says, "The hidden lightning shard is here. I have to find it." And while searching, he remembers what Bello said to him. The lightning shard is something that only appears in legends. No one knows if it's a special power, an object, or even a living being. In fact, we don't know anything about it. So our hero asks him, "Do you know how to get it?" Bellis tells him, "Unfortunately, all we know is the location of the mountain and the legend. But there's one thing for sure. That lightning was obtained and used to destroy the giants." After that, we see Asuka saying, "I've completed the contract, boss." General replies, "Really? That's awesome. You did a really great job. You're officially a pro now." She says to him, "Hasuka, that's right. Now I've also earned some respect." "Wait a second. Were you complimenting me, boss?" Gentle says to her, "Of course, in reality, I met him as Kai or Hawkeye. But there's something I want to talk about soon." Hasaka says, "Finally, I'm done with work. Now I can watch his stream." She opens the stream and says, "I watched him on screen and also live. This is the ultimate joy for any otaku." And we see Super, and he says, "There's no experience in this tower. I couldn't just let it pass." Asuka is surprised and says, "What is this? That phrase has been around for more than 20 years. After that, we go back to Thunder Mountain. We see people in the comments saying, "Are you angry? Don't say that you're hopeless." Then we see our hero speaking. "Yeah, but who's stronger, I wonder? Let's see for ourselves." He unleashes an absolutely legendary lightning strike inside the mountain. He explodes and says, "I finally found it." And all the comments are asking, what exactly did he find? So he says, "Super, it's natural for you to wonder like that, because that feeling is impossible to convey through the stream." There's a huge surge of lightning energy calling out to Barkey, telling him to come with all his strength. Who do you think made this door? Then our hero steps forward, and people in the comments say, That's a massive door. It looks like one the Giants tribe used. How are you even gonna open it when you don't have an explosive key or anything? So our hero stands in front of the door and activates the power of lightning in his hand. He puts his hand on the door and says, "This is a clear hint to another phrase." The system tells him, "Generating lightning in progress." The level 3 insulation stake is resisting the backlash. And Super continues, "The real ordeal is probably about to begin with full force. If it's calling me this insistently, then I have to answer the call and go to it." After that, our hero channels lightning energy into his hand and strikes the door with it. The door actually starts to shake. The giant door, which had only ever opened before for Super himself, opens again. And people say he's continuing to advance without stopping. Is there something big waiting for us, I wonder? Let's go, let's set out. And the system says that our hero, Subro, has entered the path of the Lightning Walker. So he can't leave this stage until he completes it, all the way to the end. Then we go to Bellos and we see Dale asking him, "Hey Bellos, do you really think he's going to get the power of lightning?" Bellos replies, "He's capable of doing that, and I'm sure of it." So Dale says to him, "Even though he's an outsider, you have so much faith in him." Bellos replies, "That man has proven his strength and great worth, so there's no room for doubt about that." Then someone asks, "And what's the use of lightning anyway? We're doomed either way." The one speaking is one of the soldiers, and he says, "You guys still don't get it. This giant and the incredible power he has. I've experienced that fear myself in this village." Bellos replies, "Even so, are we just gonna give up like that? Let's put our trust in him this time. This young hero is doing his absolute best for us without asking for anything in return." The soldier, terrified, replies, "It's easy for you to say something like that. All the knights are shocked, and the ground starts to shake." The soldier rushes in from outside and says, "This is really bad, he's here." Then we go back to the cave and see Subaru going inside, saying, "What exactly do you want me to do here?" The comments say, "Nothing here. There's absolutely nothing. There's nothing at all. Lightning is too fast to be seen." That's really all there is to it, by the way. Subaru himself says that actually makes sense. So lightning, before it discharges, is nothing but scattered electrical charges in the air. That's why, obviously, it's impossible to see it. So this isn't a trial that relies on visual searching. The name of this trial is The Path of Lightning, or The Lightning's Journey. And this fierce lightning lying deep within is what's calling out to me, and its unique power of attraction. Then our hero puts his hand on the ground and says, "Most likely this is the trial." He picks up a rock from the ground and throws it into the air. He continues, "It's made up of lightning charges that the naked eye can't perceive, spreading all over the place. And the deeper you go, the stronger and more responsive they become, and their immense power." Then we see the rock crumbling into tiny pieces, and people start commenting, "Wow, what just happened a moment ago? What kind of trial is this, for God's sake?" So Super says, "Just as I expected. And even though I realize that, there's no other choice but to move forward. You really have terrible taste. Looks like they're testing my endurance this time. And to put it simply, if I can't endure, I'll die." So the air sensitivity system gives them 100 credits as a gift. And it asks you, "What are you afraid of?" And the villain, the mission log, says 1,000 credits if you succeed. As for Naruka's superfan, he gives you 1,000 coins and tells you that you have to stop, or you might lose the power you finally gained. And the living player logs a mission to move forward for 2,000 coins. So Super says, "Mission rewards. Thank you all, but I'm gonna keep going." Then we go to Shigure, who we see sitting and watching our hero's live stream. At that moment, Rina comes in and asks him, "Hey, why are you hiding it like that? Were you watching something you shouldn't have, or what?" So Shigura tells her, "I'm not hiding anything. It's just that my eyes got tired here, that's all. That's all there is to it." Then Rina says to him, "Yeah, of course. They say that hair grows faster and gets thicker in situations like this." "I know." So Shigura says to her, "Do you think I'm Pinocchio? My hair's gonna grow longer if I lie? Don't say such silly things." Then Rina says, "Ever since you said that, I stopped watching the stream. So I just can't control myself." Then Shiguri says to her, "Do you understand? So what exactly are you planning to do now?" Then Rina says to him, "What's the problem with your reaction? Are you saying I don't have the right to relax here at all?" A sound comes from the device. So Shigira turns it off, yells, and says, "You shouldn't have brought it up like that." Then Rina says to him, "Hey, wait, my ears are about to explode. Don't just yell at me out of nowhere like that." Then Shigeru says to her, "Relax as much as you want, and don't worry about me at all." And then he turns off the sound from the phone or whatever device it is. Rina says to him, "Even though you're stubborn and never listen to anyone, that's really annoying." Shigura asks her, "Where are you going?" You can stay here as long as you want, eat bread or relax however you like. But she goes up to her room and closes the door. Shigura keeps watching and says, I got away by a miracle. I was about to get caught. If she found out I was watching the stream, all hell would break loose again. Yeah, I don't even want to imagine it. Shigura says to himself, even if things change between us, I could never forget Subaru. And the audio continues. In short, if you can't handle it, you'll die. Shigura continues, imitating his personality and tone of voice. This is an exact copy of Subaru, seriously. But he doesn't come close to Subaru in his desperate eagerness to rack up points. What is this? Seriously? But here, Reina's voice comes in. She puts her hand on Shigura's shoulder and says to him, No, you're the one we should be asking about this. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Shigura turns to her, and Reina says to him angrily, Are you trying to fool me? You've got 100 years ahead of you before you can pull that off. After that, we see our hero turning every step he takes into lightning energy, and the progress reaches 2%. So Super says, this feeling is familiar when it comes to lightning. I've dealt with it more times than I can count. Then he reaches 3%. He continues, the road ahead is still long, but so just the fact that they tell me the target is already a big favor from them. And people are saying, why isn't he running? Wouldn't it be better now if he ran faster? Faster, please. So our hero tells him, maybe I won't be able to read the chat from here on out. And he says to himself, reaching the target's a given, but if possible, I'm aiming for even more. Then he keeps walking through the wilderness, and from afar, we see Hawkeye sitting and watching our hero's live stream. He remembers what Jaunty said, you and Naruko are super, and you have to do a live stream together, collaborating. And we see Hakai saying, how many times has it been since Jaunty started working on his own project? Then we see a flashback of Jaunty where he says, I always used to tell you that, right? Entertainment streaming can only do half the work. I know that's also part of the evaluation. So Hawkeye asks him, who is your family? And who are the players in this era? That's what determines a person's popularity. So Jaunty tells him, that's absolutely right. But Naruko My Super is closer to being a seasoned player's blog than just an entertainment streamer. Super might be a beginner when it comes to streaming, but all you need to do is present the usual content in a way that suits the viewer. This could be a real opportunity, Hawkeye. Let's ride this wave and become stars, rising alongside him. Hawkeye is surprised by Jaunty's words and says, you ran away here because you weren't confident about climbing the tower? That's right, I also wanted to be something much greater. Greater than anyone else, as you know. Asura, could I really become like them? Then our hero is seen moving forward. So Hakai says, what I was doing. No, hold on a second. Are you crazy? We see our hero continuing his broadcast, still enduring the lightning ordeal, with his whole body covered in bruises and burns from the lightning he's experiencing, or that's passing through him. And with every step, our hero gets even more supercharged and electrified. He says, the stronger the lightning gets, the deeper it penetrates the body. This should be more than enough. Even the smallest channels in the body, including the Ren and Du channels, have started to flow with lightning. Progress is now at 20%. The system says, activating the minor channels. The lightning is settling in your body. Your magic has increased by 1 point. So Super says to himself, damn, I have to master this, no matter what it takes. And we learn that the Ren and Du channels are the body's central pathways. The minor channels refer to the small vessels that connect the entire body. We see the lightning spreading throughout Super's body, completely. We also find out that when these minor channels are opened, it means the internal energy has reached every corner of the body. And our hero continues, and so does Super, but he didn't undergo the purification of the minor channels. In other words, I'm taking a shortcut. And the system tells him that he's starting to suffer from a condition called electric shock syndrome. And our hero starts bleeding a lot. And he continues, usually you do. Like this, by using your own money. So relying on external merit makes things easier, but it brings hellish pain. And Super keeps going forward through all the merit and the blood pouring out of him. And Hudesk is watching him and says, oh my god, he opened the minor channels. Is he trying to do that there while moving his body and rely on external power? The pain must be unbearable. Most people wouldn't even be able to sit up. They pass out 100%. Even if dying in the ordeal doesn't affect reality, the pain is still real. So why? Why is he doing all this? And our hero Super's progress reaches 50% of the merit, and the minor channels are activated. The merit settles even more in our hero's body, and the magic points increase by 1. And Super says, all of this is my fault. As if I was the one who killed him. I've always said it, haven't I? There's no ordeal we can't overcome. Don't worry. In the end, I'm the one who will win. That's what I told the Blue Eyes. If only I hadn't said such a cliche thing. If only I hadn't made them trust me so blindly. We wouldn't have all had to die. And Super is literally crying, and there's blood, or blood is coming out of his eyes from the intensity of the merit he's consuming. And he remembers Kaijo saying, honestly, you all failed because you were arrogant. And Super keeps moving forward and says, all of this is my fault. And literally, Super collapses to the ground but keeps crawling just to finish the ordeal. I mean, he's gonna see it through. Then we see him open his eyes in another place and he says, this place? And he finds his friends sitting by a tree, so he runs to them and says, you guys, Shahi Suya Ki Ayori Shadri. And even you, Reina, all of you are here. Was all of that just a dream? I figured it out. I realized I was living in a dream. Yeah, I had a dream. It wasn't good at all. Listen, I'll tell you about it now. Don't get me wrong. We were doing this together. And before he can continue, he hears his friends' voices. One of them says to him, Super, how could you let yourself take us to our deaths, huh? And another adds, I really didn't want to die. So Super says to them, Shahi Sua, listen to me. But then, from afar, the little girl says to him, after all those fancy words you said, why? Why didn't you protect us? So he says to her, our hero Tino, listen to me. But here he sinks into a deep fire, a fire of revenge. And our hero says, isn't that right? And literally, everyone around him gets burned. And Super says, wait a bit, don't leave like that now, guys. Wait for me, please. Please wait for me. And the door of hardship opens again. And we see that all of this was just an illusion. And our hero Super is back to his current reality, living through the ordeal. And he says to himself, are these the hallucinations they say come with opening the minor channels? I was about to fall into that trap and succumb to energy deviation. And the progress of the energy in our hero's body reaches 97%, which is way, way more than before. And the energy settles in the body more and more. So the minor channels open up even further, and he keeps going, super focused. I have no idea which lunatic came up with this absurd test, but he's really good at wanting to play with people. That's really great, honestly. But thank you all for reminding me of the reason I was climbing the tower in the first place. Kuyo, I'm coming from you. And then we see all the villagers just waiting to die, because there's nothing left to protect them anymore. They're about to say goodbye to everything now. And the giant appears in front of them, and one of the people says this. Tell me, is this the leader they were talking about? The one who's supposed to be defeated? This one can't be defeated at all. What are we supposed to do now, guys? Does anyone know? Then another man says, that masked guy. That masked guy is a god in the end. Right, guys? Does anyone know where he went? Then Bellows comes and says, the savior will return, no doubt about it. We all know this very well. Are you entrusting the fate of the village to a stranger whose name you don't even know? And then you start doubting him afterward. You are so stupid. Or maybe you're just plain fools. Come on, tell me. They say to him, it's just us. So Belos tells them, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Do you really call yourselves knights? So Dale says to him, you're right. Before we blame anyone else for protecting the village, protecting this village is actually our duty. Knights aren't the ones who get protected. They're the ones who protect. Dale raises his sword and says, we're not knights. Let this day be the day of our death or theirs. And Dale charges in, with Belos right behind them. Then we go back to our hero, Super, who's reached 99% progress. He finds something that looks like a ball in front of him and says, I have no idea what this is. But judging by the progress percentage, there's no doubt it's the finish line. And his fatigue level rises to 97%. Super keeps going, just a little bit more to go. But the system says you need to recover your strength first. Any extra activity could be extremely dangerous for you. But our hero keeps pushing forward to get that strange thing. Then we head back to the village and see Dale launching a massive attack, taking down one of the giants. As for Bellows, he attacks too, blocking the incoming blows and saying, leave this to me. Then he jumps onto one of the giants. He literally unleashes a ton of strikes everywhere until he cuts it down and throws the corpse to the ground. And he says, the rest of the knights finally did it. Lord Bellows and Sir Dale were finally able to kill him. Go to hell, you bastard. Bellows says, all the credit goes to you, Sir Dale, with the death of the most dangerous monster we were warning about. Pabius, I can breathe now. So Dale says to him, no, I didn't mean that monster when I was talking. The knights are surprised and say, what is this? That wasn't even a worthy opponent to begin with. Lord Bellows and Sir Dale have become really amazing. All that's left is to get rid of the remaining giants. But in the meantime, the man who was talking gets pushed aside, and people see the huge thing in front of them. And Dale says, "That's the one." Bellows says, "This is a completely different level." And we go back to our hero, Super, who's making progress on land, reaching 99.99. He says, "Let me make him grovel in hell." And the progress reaches 100%. Kyujo continues, saying, "I'll make this guy's head a souvenir for you." After that, the energy of the land is unleashed and the ordeal ends. As Subaru himself says, "Finally, is it over?" But in the meantime, the opening of the small channels is completed. The rate of mana inflation increases by 20%. The speed of using all skills increases by 20%. All ability values increase by 2. Our hero Subaru starts bleeding heavily. He says, "If there was another hit, tell me before it happens." Then Subaru's body collapses to the ground. The system tells him that he has reached the 6th stage. A legend. Then we go to Gentle, who's watching our hero stream and says, "Recklessness has its limits. No one should cross him. That kid doesn't have the qualities of a successful streamer at all." Just then, Hokai calls him, and Gentile says, "I was just watching that Narakomi Subaru a while ago." So Hokai says to him, "Oh, so you saw that too, Mr. Gentile? Isn't that just crazy?" Gentle says to him, "Your enthusiasm is really something. Explain the situation to me clearly so I can understand what happened." So Hokai says to him, "That guy is definitely going to be a shining star, whether as a player or a streamer." Gentile replies, "Honestly, I thought it would be tough for him. So the way I see it, he belongs more to the category of players, not streamers." Hokai says to him, "That's exactly the point. That's the essence viewers love in the stream. He doesn't care about his image as a streamer. On the outside, he's the real Narukami Subaru. The real Narukami Subaru wasn't a streamer, but a true player." Then he says to him, "Okay, so we're witnessing the birth of Narukami Subaru the player." Janti says to him, "And we'll see this live on stream, right?" Then we go back to our hero Subaru, who gets up again, and the comments are telling him, wake up, quickly. This time, he's alive. Did he finally wake up? Then our hero himself speaks. "Was I at the point of exhaustion?" And when he looks, he finds 81. He checks a stats window, and he continues, The drop in exhaustion matched the increase in my abilities. That last lightning strike was totally unexpected, but overall, the result is good, and the system tells him, you have completed the mission. The villain sent you 1,000 credits for the mission, and the living player 2,000, and the bald guy sent you 500, so our hero's balance reaches 20,000. So he continues, "I've collected a decent amount, but what I have now isn't enough to upgrade the chicken kick skill. So far, it needs 40,000. Will the amount be complete if I use it on this giant? And that'll be the key to defeating him." He opens his hand and a new energy bar appears, and the system tells him the lightning spear is non-tradable. Legendary rank. Category, weapon. Upgrade level, 0. An ancestral spear forged from carved lightning, it delivers a single strike. Number of uses left, 1. People in the comments are saying, wow, legendary. Is it possible for this item to appear here? But he doesn't stab the spear into anything. So Subaru says to himself, it's true that it's a single-use item, but finding an item whose existence is rare, even on the 8th floor here, is that even possible? Yeah, and he tells everyone, I know it doesn't look like a spear. In your opinion, do the forms of high-ranking items change when, according to certain conditions? So they ask him, who knows about this? Subaru tells them, let's go. Let's take down that bastard. After that, we go back to Bellows, and we see him looking really surprised. We see the giant's eye is huge, and the giant himself is way bigger than the other giants. Then the giant screams at the people who were struck by lightning. One of the soldiers runs away in fear, so Bellows asks him what he's doing. But the soldier says that he already told him about this, so they don't know anything at all. He kneels on the ground, salutes the giant, and tells him that he's different from those other stupid humans. He begs him to show him some mercy. So the giant ruler says to him, are you comparing me to those pathetic, miserable wretches? So Dale says to him, pay attention, son, what are you doing? Get up on your feet right now. Hurry, Pelos, cake the villagers and get them as far away as possible. All of you, run! But then he sees the giant's hand coming down on Dale, and the other person, Pelos, shouts down. But both of them get crushed and end up like tomato juice. So Pelos says, I don't see any way to win. Even the escape routes are all blocked off. So what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And Pelos says to him, the one who killed your son. I know who it is. He tells him, Krog killed my son. Who that? And then he moves closer to Pelosos. So Pelos tells him he went in that direction. And he points him in another direction and says, the human who killed your son escaped that way to gather the reinforcements that will help you. And he says to himself, please let this trick work on you. Go that way. So Krog looks at him and says, liar, your words have a bit of a lie in them. Isn't the human who killed my son right here? Or did you just point your pathetic sword in some random direction? If you don't answer me right now, and at that moment a yellow lightning bolt appears in the sky, surprising the giant Krog. And we see a massive surge of energy descending from the sky at the mountain where our hero was. Then Pelos the Savior says, could this really be it? And so the seventh stage begins. Thunder. Our hero says, so this is the final one. If a monster even stronger than this one shows up, then this can't even be considered a test for the second character. So people in the comments are saying, let's just run away from here. Are you really planning to fight it? This thing is really tough. I think escaping safely is the whole point of this test. So our hero tells them, no problem. There's no need for us to make things complicated. So all I need to do is land just one hit on him. And he says to himself, this is an opponent I can't face in my current state. That's why the only option is to wear him down before he makes the first move. Our hero starts to raise the lightning spear, and then something really powerful comes down from the sky. Basically a massive bolt of lightning. The energy keeps building up more and more in our hero's hand. The activation rate reaches 10%, and his fatigue level rises to 84. So our hero grabs the lightning spear, and its activation rate becomes 33%. The scourge stake tries to resist the backlash from the lightning spear. The resistance failed and the effect is weak. And our hero starts bleeding again. He says to himself, just as I expected. My skill level is way too low, and I really shouldn't be using a legendary element. His fatigue level rises to 88, but the activation reaches 50%. Still, I have no choice but to hold on with this body. Then he sees Garu in front of him, so he says, did Sopro spot me? Of course, it's impossible for him not to notice me after all the chaos I caused. And the activation rate reaches 78%. As for Garu, he sees the lightning and says, so you're the one who killed my son. He rushes toward our hero's location. Then Bello says, where do you think you're going? Your opponent is me. But then he finds the whole gang of giants destroying the village and attacking its people. The giant says, Garuk, my son Beidel, you must have died from the pain of all this suffering. I'm gonna make you taste it. I'll make you all feel the same torment. He charges at our hero at an incredible speed. He's extremely furious. Garuk continues his attack on our hero, who's still standing in his place. The activation of a lightning spear reaches 88%. An even greater surge of lightning energy bursts out. Subaru says the success rate is 50-50. People are asking, how could he possibly hit him? We agree with you. You really are incredibly fast. But will he die instantly if he misses the target, I wonder? Subaru continues speaking. It's either a hit or a miss. That's all there is to it. Never take your eyes off him. Then we cut to a flashback, and we see our hero's friend telling him, never take your eyes off him, no matter what happens, don't ever look away. This is where the art of javelin throwing begins. Clear all thoughts from your mind. Any stray thoughts, whether you're gonna throw it in a straight line or curve its path. Prediction, there's no need to think about things like that. The trajectory, to hell with all that culture. Forget about the weight and shape of the javelin, let go all that. Because you're different from everyone else who throws the javelin. That's because you're Naru Komisubaro. And now we're back to the present, and the activation rate reaches 95%. Our hero gets ready to throw and asks, what exactly do I need to do? So his friend tells him, anyway, what you're about to throw isn't an ordinary javelin to begin with. So it's simple, don't just throw it, unleash it. Meanwhile, as Grook tries to climb the mountain to reach our hero, people in the comments are asking, what are you doing? Hurry up and throw it, you'll die if you keep hesitating like this. So Subaru says, just a little bit more. And the lightning energy gathers even more. Grook reaches our hero and charges at his face to completely destroy him. He jumps up to crush him, but at that moment the lightning spear reaches 100%. And our hero throws his spear. He says this chance only comes once. And for sure, I'll finish him off with a single blow. Our hero's spear pierces Grook's Zenin and completely destroys him. Grook falls to the ground, and a deafening explosion shakes the place. Then Grook says, oh, Beidel. And our hero stands there in front of everyone in the comments, those who are saying, did he really hit her? Oh my god. What's happening is absolute madness. This guy is insanely strong. I lived to see a moment like this in my life. And the system tells him, you have defeated the seed that swallowed the lightning. You have reached the 7th stage. Lightning. You have leveled up 3 times. Strength increased by 2. Agility by 2. Vitality by 2. Focus by 1. Magical energy by 1. And you receive 5,000 achievement points. You also obtain the Heart of Lightning. So Subaru says, the Heart of Lightning. Is this it? And he holds it like this. Then he closes his eyes, and when he opens them, he's in another place and says, "What is this thing? Where exactly am I?" And he finds a huge giant standing in front of him. So our hero asks, "What's going on?" "My voice won't come out, my body won't move either." And the unknown system says to him, "The unknown is looking at you, the unknown is looking at you, the unknown is looking at you, looking at you, looking at you." So our hero says, "Are they trying to tell me something?" But here, the heart of lightning appears and our hero wakes up again, and the system tells him the main scenario has started. Lightning. Start searching for clues in the village, using your heart of lightning. The comments say, "It's over." Why is he still sitting there? Mr. Narukomi Subaru's livestream is over, right? Is he unconscious again? But our hero says, "Wasn't that just a cutscene?" And the comments say, "Sorry, you lost consciousness for a moment." So everyone is happy that he's still alive. And he says, "Oh right, I need to collect my reward first." He gets mission completions from safe assets and a lot of people. And his balance reaches 40,100. And our hero tells them, "I'm completely exhausted, I'll see you all later." So the comments start complaining that he's ending the video at this minute, or his live stream at this minute, just like I am now too. Then we move on to another place. And we see Hatsuka saying, "You really put in a lot of effort during the test." So our hero tells her, "Nah, don't worry about it. Was the way I streamed like this acceptable?" Hatsuka tells him, "Yes, absolutely. It was perfect. You surpassed your peak viewership from yesterday, about 3,000 viewers. Maybe you didn't notice that." So our hero says, "More than 3,000 viewers? Sorry, I was so focused on the test that I didn't pay attention to the numbers." So Hatsuka tells him, "Oh no, I just meant to say that you did a good job. I'm not blaming you. If you surpassed the 3,000 viewer mark as a beginner streamer, that's an amazing achievement. And the timing of ending the stream was perfect too." So our hero says, "Yeah, that's actually the most intriguing part. Just like how we get excited to find out what happens next in any drama series." So Hatsuka asks him, "Do you mean you did that on purpose?" Our hero replies, "I plan to check out the rewards together with the viewers in the next stream, because that lets me give a genuine, spontaneous reaction without any acting." Hatsuka is surprised by him and thinks to herself, he really knows the rules of the game well. It seems that the old man Jontel's reputation doesn't suit him at all. Then she tells him, "I have a gift for you today." When he asks her, "What is it?" Hatsuka tells him, "It's something that Mr. Narakumi could never refuse. A valuable gift I brought just for you. How about you look up a content creator named Hokai or Falcon Eye?" So our protagonist searches for Falcon Eye and listens to what people are saying about him. Falcon Eye says, "Anyway, enough talk. We can't start before we watch him first. Narakumi Subaru. I'll explain everything about him step by step." And after our protagonist watches him for a bit, he hears Hokai say, during his ordeal of enduring pain, he was actually facing another challenge at the same time. In short, he was going through the ordeal while throwing himself into another one. Sorry, it's time for me to wrap up this part. There's no need to keep talking about it, so I'll sum it up in one sentence. This is almost like Narukomi Subaru himself, and there's really no need to explain any further. So our protagonist himself asks, "Do you think the principal feels the same way about this?" Then Hatsuka says to him, "Can I ask you a question that might sound a bit strange to you?" And our protagonist replies, "Yeah, go ahead." So Hatsuka says to him, "I know it's strange for you to ask your manager a question like this, and I realize how awkward it is. But Narukomi, why do you stream? You don't do it for the money, right?" So our protagonist says to her, let me tell you, no, it's just for the money, man. Honestly, there's no other reason at all. Nothing else would make me do this." Hatsuka gets embarrassed and says, "Yeah, money's important too." Sorry, I asked a weird question. Our protagonist tells her, "No, don't worry about it." So Hatsuka says to him, "Right, the gift. Let's talk about it. The streamer you saw a little while ago, Hokai, also belongs to the Soten agency. We signed a contract with him 6 years ago. He's a very reliable streamer, known for his analytical content and solid fan base. He has a sharp insight into these things. And now, listen to this. In his latest stream, and in all his future streams, the revenue will be shared." So he asks her, shared with whom? Hatsuka tells him, with you, since it's derivative content that uses your own material. So that includes ads, donations, the archive, and everything. So he tells her, "Honestly, ever since I joined the agency, I haven't heard anything but good news." Hatsuka asks him, "Is that true?" He replies, "Yeah, I consider it a bit of a surprise bonus." So Hatsuka says, "Then maybe you'd like to do a collab stream with Hokai as a gesture of goodwill." After that, our protagonist goes back to the room and says, "Maybe there was no need for me to wear that mask when we met. And I probably shouldn't have insisted so much on the money part. The newer and better my relationships are, The more I end up hiding things, I'll have to conceal later on. Anyway, our protagonist spends 40,000 coins on the Withering Stake and upgrades it to rank 4. And now he needs 80,000 coins to reach rank 5, or level 5. So our protagonist says 80,000 coins for rank C, and my remaining balance is 120. There's no point in sugarcoating it. Money is honestly my #1 goal. Luckily, this joint stream with Hokai in 2 days, I have to make some decent money from it. Guys, you might hear news about me before I even say a word. And he picks up the flower that Shigure had placed on his grave. Now we go back to Hatsuka, and we see her looking really embarrassed. She remembers what our protagonist said about the mine, and she says, I won't ask, even though I'm dying of curiosity. But I won't ask what he's gonna do with that money. It's the same for me too. Then she squeezes the pillow she was holding and says, Narukomi Subaru is a man with a secret that no one will ever know. That just makes his personality even more captivating. Meanwhile, we head over to the 7th floor, Nox Bella. We see someone working out with weights, listening to Hakai, and saying, there's no need to drag this out. So he says, I'll sum it up in one sentence. Then the guy says, I really don't like this man at all. I can't stand the way he talks. Who even is this guy? Seriously, guys. So one of the guys with him says, that's a streamer. His name is Hokai, or Hakai. He averages about 8,000 viewers. Then the man says, a live streamer, huh? I used to have a place in this field once upon a time. And we find out that this guy is from the Blue Zone, or the Blue Zone organization Kuroko Amon. He tells the guy with him, forget about Hakai. Focus your attention on Narukomi Subaru instead. The guy he mentioned on the stream, so Eamon says to him, yeah, that fake one who can master lightning or whatever. That's honestly impressive. Sako Shohei, the spear knight of the blue eyes, once said, keeping your eyes fixed on the target is everything in the art of javelin throwing. So the guy with him says, you even remember the passing words, Mr. Eamon? Eamon replies, yeah, I try to absorb their personalities, their habits, every little detail about them. They were truly players who sat at the very top. Not to mention, everyone overlooks the fact that every member of the Blue Eyes was at their peak. Not just Narukomi Subaru. The way they died doesn't make any sense at all. Then Hokai talks about Narukomi Subaru, saying that maybe he's actually the real living Narukomi Subaru. Eamon says, this guy acts arrogantly, always dropping his name like they're friends. So the guy with him says, that's the big problem with content creators. If it's about making good content, they'll throw their pride and principles right out the window. Eamon says, that's annoying. Why did you even show me this in the first place? The guy replies, that wasn't my decision. Guildmaster Kyojo is the one who ordered me to show it to you. Then Eamon says to him, Isuki Kyojo did this. The guy continues, lightning was the symbol of the blue eyes, and the blue eyes are a basket in the blue zone. We've received information that the content creator is obsessed with money, especially that Narukomi Subaru. Then they bring over a cart and remove the cover from it. Eamon is shocked to see that it's a huge amount of money. The man continues, the budget has been secured. He said to bring him no matter what it costs. Eamon says to him, impossible. Is this guy a slave to money or what? We go back to the village and see people trying to rebuild it again. And Belos says, gather all the wounded in one place. Priority goes to treating the critical cases first. As soon as you're done, distribute the medicine to those with minor wounds. At this moment, Belos is surprised and says, the savior. You came, sir, after all the tragedy and you're fainting. How are you feeling now? You ran out of strength and collapsed right in front of the village. That really scared all of us for you. If you hadn't woken up, I honestly don't know what I would have done. So our hero stands up and says, I'm still feeling a bit dizzy. Belos replies, that's true, it's only been a day. Then our hero says, can we talk a bit at the inn later? There are some things I want to ask you about. So Belos says, of course, ask me anything you want. See you later, hero. Then Belos leaves, and the comments say, maybe you should have brought that guy along or something, since he considers you as found. After that, our hero goes to the inn, takes something out, and says, let me check the reward first. He finds the Heart of the Wilderness is non-tradable. Rank bound, one of a kind. Upgradable. Equipment level, 0. Increases the power of wilderness attacks by 20%, and wilderness resistance by 30%, and extremely high fire resistance. So our hero says, this is impossible, summoned from the abyss. What do they mean by that? Then the comments say, is that disappointment or excitement from you? We don't get it. Then someone else in the comments says, maybe he's feeling both. So our hero says his stats are perfect for wilderness users. This is so crazy. And our hero is super unhappy. And here, someone knocks on the door. And Belos comes in with some fruit and says, did you rest well? And when he sits with our hero, he says to him, so bro, so the legend is really true. So Belos says to him, yeah, I saw that light too. Thanks to you, the whole village was saved. So our hero tells him, that thing came out of the giant's body that I killed. It's called the Heart of the Wild. Then Bello says, wait a second. Could it really be? So our hero asks him, do you know what it is? Bellows replies, no, I have no idea at all. Our hero is surprised by Bellows' answer. Then Bellows continues, sorry, all I've ever heard are just some legends. I don't know if they're true or not, or if they ever really happened. So our hero tells him, tell me everything you know about it. Bello says to him, I know two legends. The first one says that the power was used to wipe out the giants, just like you did when you killed the giant with the power. As for the second, it's a legend about a conflict between the rulers and the giants to obtain the legendary power. So our hero asks him, a conflict? What do you mean by that? Bellows tells him, exactly, you could consider it just another legend. It's said that the kings and the giants waged a huge war over the power, and in the end, the giants were defeated. So our hero says, so this gem is... Bellows replies, most likely it was made by the same person who did all that. So our hero asks, who could possibly make something like that? Bellows replies, that part was never written in the legends. But I think its purpose is pretty clear, to allow humans to take control of the land. And the reason humans needed the land was because of the kings and the giants, beings who had way too much power and authority over humans. So this part was created to enable humans to kill them and even defeat them. And the system says, you have accessed all the chapters of the Forgotten Human. You've acquired the Trial of a Land. The level of the land skill will increase based on achievement points. The land level has increased. 1, 2, 3. Now, moving on to the third floor. And our hero bids farewell to Bellows, who says, sir, what's happening? Where'd you go? But our hero disappears completely from in front of Bellows. Then at the third floor at Oratel. Our hero arrives at Oratel's third floor, and people are commenting. He reached the third floor. Finally! So all this time, what was he doing on the second floor? So one of the people around our hero says, he got another like for Narukomi, Supro. When will this trend finally die out, I wonder? Then the system says that Narukomi sent him 1,000 coins, and congratulates him on reaching the third floor, and asks him how he feels about it. So our hero replies, how do I feel? Well, this is it. Then we go back in a flashback, and we see a girl bumping into our hero, Subaru. Then he tells us that Rina was a bit reserved at first. She was really scared. And we see Rina saying, actually, I got separated from my group for a bit. Did you happen to see someone about this tall around here? I think he's just a little bit taller than you. So Subaru says to, actually, I saw him. Rina says to him, really? So our hero points out a place to her. Rina goes to walk over there, but she gets lost again. Our hero is surprised by her, and she asks him which direction he means. Subaru says to her, let's walk together. I'm heading that way anyway. Rina says to him, really? You'll take me with you? And he tells us, stop it, if only I had just put her on the right path. And I hadn't done anything more than that on that day. What happened to her wouldn't have happened. And he tells her, it's true, I didn't have anything keeping me busy that day. So Rina thanks him and tells him that this place is like a maze. And she tells him her name is Kyokarina. And when she asks him, he tells her, my name is Narakomi Subaru. Subaru continues speaking. I wonder, would everyone have stayed alive back then if I hadn't even met them? We return to the present, and he says, I remember that I lost something really precious to me. By the way, in the next stream, I'll be doing a joint stream with Hawkeye. So people are saying, what the heck? You're just gonna end the stream on us like that? Come on, man. The stream was really short today. Then, the manager tells them in the comments to keep the chat respectful. And our hero, Narukomi Saburo, ends his stream. Right here. After that, in another cafe, we see our hero sitting. Then Jaunty comes over and says, sorry for making you wait a bit. She's on her way to us too. As you know, unlike going live right after overcoming hardships, moving between floors takes time. I'm Jaunty from Azure Sky Agency, or Soten Entertainment. So our hero says to him, oh, you're that persistent manager? Jaunty replies, persistent? What do you mean persistent? Our hero answers, no, it's nothing. He says, my manager told me about you. It's truly an honor to meet you. Jaunty says, normally I would have left this to Hatsuka, even though I wanted to see you at least once myself. I mean, she never talked about anyone in such a favorable way before. There are only 2 players. That's why I got curious. So our hero asks him, who exactly? Jaunty says, first, someone who needs no introduction. Narukami Subaru, the one with the blue eyes. Our hero is surprised. Then Jaunty tells him, you're shocked too, huh? Right, this woman, the sharp-tongued critic, is interested in someone who carries the name Narukomi Subaru himself. Our hero says, no, that's impossible. Jaunty says, my question might sound a bit strange, but are you interested in the Blue Eyes Guild or the Blue Zone? Our hero is surprised, and Johnny continues, judging by your reaction, you're not interested in them at all, right? So our hero asks him, why are you bringing this up right now? Jaunty replies, actually, that's one of the reasons I came to meet you. Take a look at this. This is the prize for the tournament that's going to be held on the 3rd floor of 5 days from now. Our hero is shocked and thinks to himself, no way, you've got to be kidding me. And then a new energy bar starts to appear from our hero. After that, we cut to Rena, who's holding her phone and says, his stream is over. I wonder if it ended over there too or not. As soon as she moves forward a bit, we see ice on the ground, and the one who did that is Shigure. Rena asks him, are you done or not yet, Shigure? Shigure replies, I finished a long time ago. Then Rena says to him, so what exactly were you busy with? I mean, what were you looking at? Shigure says to her, I was thinking about something. Should I kill them? And we see a lot of people standing in front of Shigure. And literally, Shigure has frozen all of them, turning them into corpses. He continues, or should I let them wake up and come back to life? Rena tells him, just let them go. That's it. We already know who sent them. Shigure says to her, we're not completely sure. And that's why I was thinking, if they really came on Kyojo's orders, why did he send bugs like them here? But even letting them go alive is a problem in itself. If these people lead enemies to our hideout, then But here, Rena finishes them off, cutting them all up with small swords or knives she makes herself. So Shigure says to her, hold on a second, stop that, Rena. But Rena destroys them, shattering them like ice. Shigure says to her, what do you think you're doing? Rena replies, it doesn't matter whether Kyojo sent them or not. If we let them get out of here, everyone will know we're still alive. This cowardly hesitation will cost us our lives. You need to harden your heart a bit more, Shigure. Shigure says to her, you're right. I apologize. Take a look at this. And he shows her his phone. Rena is surprised and says, you took that? So Shigure says to her, it bothers you, doesn't it? Rena replies, of course, that's Tosha's shoe. Shigure says to her, it's bait, a trap to lure us out. He must know that we might still be alive somewhere. But that doesn't mean we should just ignore it. We have to take back what's rightfully ours. Rena says to him, if that's what you mean by what you're saying. Shigure replies, either way, I'm terrible at sneaking around. But you were always really good at this kind of thing, right? Rena says, you didn't have to put it like that. I've already decided to do it, even if it means risking my life. Shigure says to her, hold on a second, Rena. I'm not asking you to rush in recklessly. Let's steal it at the moment they announce the wearer. That's the safest and best way. And we go back to Jaunty's meeting with our hero Subaru, who's showing him the same thing. Secrets of the Blue Eyes, Ria's comment, Toshi's shield. He also tells him that the Blue Zone put it up as the prize for this tournament. And is he interested? Subaru replies, of course I'm interested. Very interested, actually. Johnny says to him, I see. That's really good. Actually, this whole project depended on your desire. Our hero asks him, what project exactly? So Jaunty tells him, since you're carrying the name Narukomi Subaru, we saw that a dramatic plot revolving around hunting the Blue Eyes relics would be something really great and incredibly attractive for us. Our hero gets angry and says, how dare you use Toshia's relic as a tool in a circus like this? So Jaunty asks him, do you have a problem? If there's something on your mind, you can tell me. Our hero replies, I'll do it. Jaunty says, okay, excellent. So our hero asks to be excused. Jaunty tells him, I'm looking forward to working with you too. We're always cheering you on from behind the screens. Our hero says, there's no way I'll hand it over to you. No one will take it except over my dead body. Then we see our hero lying on the bed, wondering, what kind of events will there be in the tournament, I wonder? I hope they're individual events, even though this isn't really the time to be nitpicking. And that's what Hatsuka knocks on the god. Our hero is surprised and looks at his mask, and he goes out to her while still wearing the mask. So Hatsuka's surprised that he's even wearing his mask inside his own room. Our hero says to her, please come in. Hatsuka says to him, wait, you mean go into your room? So our hero says to her, if you'd rather talk in the hallway, I don't mind. Hatsuka replies, oh no, of course not. Sorry for bothering you at this hour. Then Hatsuka comes in and notices that our hero's room is really simple. Our hero thinks to himself, just as I expected, her energy never runs out. A personality like hers can't just be a manager, that's for sure. Hatsuka asks him, is there something weird? Is there something on my face or something? She looks at me like that. So our hero says to her, why are you saying that? Oh, about the information on the tournament you said you'd give me? So Hatsuka says to him, right, of course. The tournament will be in a battle royale format. Everyone fights for a single prize in an open arena. So our hero says, so it's a free-for-all match? Hatsuka tells him, yes, there's only one prize. The battlefield will be a virtual testing ground. You have to be a player on the 3rd floor to participate. The entry fee is 3,000 credits. There's no set limit on the number of participants. I'll send you the data for the 7 battles to your device. Take a quick look and you'll get it. Our hero finds that all this data is about him. He says to her, this will be really useful. Thanks for your effort. She tells him, I'm just doing my job. Oh, and the boss told you, Terra. We received a message from the Blue Zone. Our hero's whole body trembles. He remembers Itsuki Kyoja. He says, from the Blue Zone, you said? She tells him, they said they want to meet you in person. And since they have no way to contact you, we sent a message to our office. So our hero says himself, have they already started moving against me? So Hatsuka tells him they probably just want to negotiate. They'll offer higher compensation, better benefits, and different terms too. Our hero tells her, ignore them. So Hatsuka says to him, wait, what? Ignore them. Our hero tells her, exactly. I'm never going to join the Blue Zone. And that goes for any other union too. Hatsuka gets really happy and says, that's awesome. That's a relief. I was really hesitant about whether I should tell you, but I'm glad I did. All right, take your time until the collaboration starts. Bye-bye. And then she walks away. Subaru says she's celebrating like she just won something. For an ordinary employee like her to be this excited about her job, it shows she's definitely not just an ordinary person. After that, we move to another place. We see Jaunty and Hoki standing there. Jaunty says, so this is today's project compared to Narukami Subaru's old and new talents. So Hoki asks him, what do you think? Pretty brilliant idea, right? Jaunty replies, I like how straightforward and bold you are with your ideas. But, you know, if you lose, you're gonna take a hard hit too. Hakai says, let whatever happens happen. Whatever the outcome, I'll accept it. That way, we'll earn the viewer's trust. But let me ask you, have I ever lost even once before? Jaunty tells him, don't act so arrogant. In the end, everything depends on Narukomi, right? He replies, I think that's true. And that's when Hatsuka shows up, bringing our hero with her. Hoki himself says, this is my chance now to become a star shining in the sky. This chance is finally found. And our hero himself says, this place is really huge. Did they rent out this whole place? Hoki greets our hero and says, hey, I'm Hoki the Hawkeye, your buddy, the creator of Bassus. Our hero replies, Narukomi Subaru, nice to meet you. Hoki says to him, wow, I feel like I've met the real Narukomi Subaru. Even your voice sounds just like his. I can't believe I've met the most famous person right now. I'm a fan. Our hero replies, oh, I'm still just a beginner at live streaming. I'm nothing compared to you. Jaunty says, all right, let's save the introductions for the stream. These events have to happen exclusively on the stream. Then Hoki says, all right, let's continue our conversation live on air. Hey everyone, peace be upon you. How's everyone doing? Hawkeye here. Thanks for joining today. He greets everyone, and the viewership starts climbing to 12,000. Then Hoki himself said, I heard the collaboration announcement set the community on fire. But 12,000 viewers right from the start? That's amazing. Then Hoki continues, today is the event everyone's been waiting for. I brought your guy with me today. Narukomi Subaru is here with us. Subaru greets everyone, and they all ask him if he's handsome. And if he's ever seen his own face, and does he look like the real-life Narukomi Subari? So Hoki tells them, no, he hasn't even shown his face to his own manager. Are you hiding something, Narukomi? Speak up. And people in the comments ask, why? Does he have a shady past, or is he just ugly? So Subaru tells them, no, it's not like that at all. And on top of that, I'm actually really handsome. The number of people watching this stream reaches 17,000. Then Hoki himself speaks up. He's never been this excited before. Just as I expected, this is a viewership bomb waiting to go off. Subaru continues, sorry, but I'm not going to lose to you. Not in fighting, I mean in looks. And Hoki himself continues, even knowing how to interact well with the audience. And Subaru tells him there's no girlfriend. No friends either, at least for now. The number of viewers reaches 16,000. Then he continues after that. Okay, all right, that's enough teasing my important guest here. So let's move on to the main event instead of the test. What do y'all think? Then the test begins. Dummies appear everywhere. Hoki asks, why did we choose this particular place? I'll explain, Gia. I have my reasons. First, because this test will be perfect for measuring control. And secondly, because today I'm gonna prove my claim here that this Narukomi Subaru is something that will rival the old Narukomi Subaru. So Subaru says if I wasn't confident in my success, I wouldn't have agreed to do the test in the first place. At this point, the dummies are activated and start attacking our hero Subaru from all directions. People in the comments are saying it looks like he's really confident in himself. Will he be able to break the record on his first try? Maybe we're just too excited. So our hero stops and says, not yet, not yet, it's not time yet. And we see that he's talking about how it's not time yet because someone gave him a challenge. If he doesn't finish this challenge in 34 kills, he'll get 10,000 points, and his face will appear on camera if he fails. And our hero himself says early on, I'm risking revealing my face. And then the rest of the people add a few more tasks on top of the first one. So our hero agrees and says, thank you for the donations, and promises, I'll show my face if I fail. Of course, if I fail, that is. So people are commenting, what's this? If they lose, Subro will take the punishment alone. But if they win, Subro and Hawkeye will split the prize. So he tells Hawkeye, yeah, you're right. That's why all these important points will go to Narukami Subro. Alright, let's get started. Showtime comes, and they have 3 minutes. All the puppets start attacking our hero, Narukami. Our hero activates the thunder. He starts with the first one and knocks the puppet's face off with a single blow. The commentators are amazed. What? Oh my god, he didn't even use the demon sword he usually wields. This is going to be an easy mission for him. Even Hawkeye himself can't believe he's seeing the thunder skill right in front of his eyes. Our hero draws the mysterious demon sword. With a flurry of slashes, right, left, he literally starts shredding all the puppets. And the people in the comments are saying, this guy is insanely fast. At this rate, breaking the record doesn't seem impossible. But it's only going to get harder as time goes on, goddess. More and more puppets keep attacking our hero, and there are only 2 minutes left. But Subaru is literally smashing the puppets left and right and jumping up high. So people in the comments are saying, oh my god, this scene is never going to happen again. Is this guy working in a circus or something? Aerial combat was actually Subaru's specialty. And then Subaru jumps up high, just like I told you. And immediately he strikes the ground with a sword. And his kill count reaches 26. So the people in the comments go crazy. They're absolutely amazed and super hyped that this super might actually succeed and beat the old Subaru. And there are only 13 seconds left. And the kill count hits 42. And the countdown starts 4, 3, 2, 1. And Subaru takes out the last dummy, reaching 43 kills during this test. The record gets updated. First place, Narukami Subaru. First place again, Narukami Subaru. Why? Because both of them are actually the same person, the old one in his previous body. And with this body, both of them tied in the same test. He notices that the number of viewers on the stream has reached 38,000. And in the comments, everyone is amazed, literally freaking out with excitement. Hoki says 43. He tied with Narukami Subaru. The match ended in a draw. That's awesome. How'd you guys feel about that, friends? Then the stream reaches 39,500 viewers. After that, Hoki thanks them for the points and says, you're something else, Hawkeye lover. Man, change that name. Don't be so creepy. But thanks for the points. Are you asking if that's just Narukami Subaru? Now that's on it. And here, Reinhardt gets 10,000 coins. Hockey is shocked, and everyone in the comments is surprised too, wondering if that's the real Reinhardt. And Hoki says, Reinhardt, thanks for the 10,000. I can't believe someone high level is watching me right now. So our protagonist himself says, the man of the one sword strike, huh? And Reinhardt sends a message saying that Narukami Subaru's performance inspired him a lot. So Hockey tells him, really? It's an honor for me that you're watching my stream. And our protagonist wonders to himself, why is he watching this stream? Did he find out what I did with Isaac or something? So Reinhardt asks him, will you team up with me, Narukami Subaru? Our protagonist Narukami is surprised by this message that just popped up. And everyone present agrees with this idea. But when our protagonist looks at them, he says, unfortunately, I have to refuse. I need to focus on the exams, so I have to turn you down. Hokai is completely shocked by this. And it will also include Hatsuka and Junto's surprised reactions and even the comments. Our hero bends down and says, sorry, but I'm very tired. Can I ask you to end this, Yivor? So Hoki says, what? Okay, just wait a second, Narupli. When he comes back, he asks him, why did you refuse, Super? This was a huge opportunity to boost your career as a streamer. Hatsuka continues, I was also really surprised by that. So our hero asks them, was it really that important? Gentet tells him, collaborating with high-level people? Yeah, high-level people are actually really rare. So our hero says, but if being high-level is that important, so I be one of them too, which surprises them. Then Hoki comes in and says, Narukami, as expected, a brilliant performance. As soon as the profits come in, I'll send you your share. By the way, since the stream is over, can I ask you something? I felt like you were a bit different during the fight. Like you weren't at your best. Are you injured or something like that? So our protagonist answers himself. Looks like Hawkeye noticed that too. I thought I hit it well, but apparently he's called Hawkeye for a reason. And our protagonist replies, whether I won or lost, it would have affected me. So Hoki asks him, how would it affect you? And the highlight of the broadcast was when everyone was asked if Narikomi Subaru's main record would be broken. That was the most important point. So our protagonist says, if I won today, of course I'd get a huge boost of excitement, but that excitement around competing with you would have brought me down a lot. And if I lost, people would say, wow, he's nothing like the real Narukami Subaru. Anyway, for this test, and for that reason, I needed the result to be equal for both characters. A tie for first place with 43 each. That's why a tie was the best outcome for me. So Hoki says to him, so you could have beaten him if you wanted to. Our hero replies, who knows? We can't change the result now, but everything depends on how people interpret it. After that, our hero walks away and leaves them all behind. Then we see an angry person smashing whatever's in front of him, the table in front of him, blowing it up completely. He says, that insolent bastard. And we find out that this person is ranked 121. He's the leader of the Golden Lion Guild, Reinhard Abu Ishak, the same guy our hero just rejected during his broadcast. Then someone comes in and says, Master Reinhard, is something bothering you? Reinhard replies, that damn Narikomi Subaru, the one I mentioned. The man says, oh, you mean that streamer? What happened to him? Reinhard says, that bastard turned down my offer. Why? His subordinate says, how bold of him to refuse an offer from you of all people, sir. Reinhard says, I was planning to crush him in front of everyone and put an end to these annoying rumors. But everything was ruined. Now, I don't even care about the money I wasted. What really gets to me now is that a nobody, a complete beginner, had the nerve to bruise my pride. At this point, the servant hands him the device and says, here you go, sir. So Reinhard asks him, what happened with the matter I asked you about? The subordinate replies, if you mean Mr. Isaac, we're still searching everywhere we can. But someone his age disappearing for a few days isn't exactly rare, you know? Reinhard grabs him from a distance, lifts him up, and starts choking him, saying, are you joking with me, kid? Are you mocking me? The boy apologizes to him. Then Reinhard throws him against the wall and says, since when do you question my orders? He begs for forgiveness and promises that he'll continue. Start searching right now. After that, in another place, we go to Hatsuka and see the annoying manager who was talking to her in the first place, and she says to him, good evening, boss. How you doing? He replies, General, is my call to you really that annoying? Where's your enthusiasm? What's with that dead voice? At least talk to me the way you used to talk to Narukami. She says to herself, here we go again. So he tries again. She slams the door on him and greets him. She asks him, do you always wear your mask here in the room? He replies, for now, yes. Yeah, I feel more comfortable this way. Are you curious too, to see my real face? She tells him, no, that's not what I meant. The mask makes viewers associate you with Narikomi Subaru. Maybe one day you'll show your real face and your true self. But honestly, I think maybe you should keep your face to yourself. So Subaru asks her, why? Why is everyone obsessed with Narikomi Subaru? And tell me what happened. She tells them Narikomi Subaru. There are several reasons, like him being from Earth, being low level, having stats, or just the fact that his presence makes him awesome. But the most important thing is that Narukami Subaru was our host. So our protagonist asks, what does she mean by that? She tells him, maybe you don't know this, but when you first came to the tower, there was literally nothing. Monsters everywhere. No food, no stability. Money was useless since there was nowhere to spend it. There was only one way to survive. It was to keep climbing. If you climbed, you'd earn credit points, and with those points, you could settle down more. People started to believe that this world could become our own. The greatest players left us hope that we could finally finish this tower, and that our world could win. And the one who stood above everyone and did all these things, he's the one ahead of everyone. Narukami Subaru's achievements weren't just about strategic genius. No, he was actually the first to prove that it was possible. So Subaru tells her, that's what you believe too. Hatsuka replies, what I believe is a secret, just like your face. And maybe one day I'll tell you about it. So he says to her, come on, you came here for something, right? Let's talk inside. Hatsuka tells him, no, it's nothing important. I'm leaving now. Good night. And then she leaves him and walks away. After all that, she thinks to herself, after everything that's been said, I don't feel like convincing him anymore. Why? He's always trying to tell me to come inside. Come inside. So he says, we've given up hope. Yeah, it's strange. Then we see Subaru training, and he says, oh, it's you again, Narikomi Subaru fan. Thanks for the 1,000 points. I really hope today we can win against the final boss. So the Golden Lion sends him 500 points and asks, are you really not going to cooperate with Mr. Reinhard? And Yggdrasil also sends him 5,000 points. And they say to him, it was an honor meeting you. I'm Mundo from the Yggdrasil Guild. I have something important to tell you. Do you have a moment? And now our hero has 2,700 subscribers. So our hero says the company really boosted the views. The viewers and donations are steadily increasing. Give people what they want, and they'll pay you points in return. And the third floor test begins. And our hero has to choose a faction, the Concrete faction or the Ottoman faction. People in the comments are saying that he'll definitely choose the Ottoman faction, for sure, because the Concrete faction is really weak. Our hero tells us, your faction changes almost everything in this floor's test. They hate each other. That's why your missions change depending on who you join. And then our hero chooses the Concrete Kingdom. And it turns out that only about 3% of players pick Concrete. And there's a specific reason for that, which I'll tell you about. Then, on the third floor, it's the Concrete Kingdom, the mercenaries' rest area. Our hero enters, and we see someone say, hey, new guy. This is perfect timing. I was about to die of boredom. He walks up to our hero and tries to bump him on the shoulder. But our hero is super strong and huge, so the guy bounces off him and keeps moving forward. So the guy says to himself, wow, he's really strong. Then he says to our hero, hey, watch where you're going, huh? All right, what's your problem, you stupid jerk? So our hero tells him, the problem is with you. You're the one who bumped into me on purpose. The guy grabs our hero by his clothes and says, you bastard. It's obvious you're a rank A mercenary. How dare you talk back to someone from rank B, huh? People start saying, hey guys, there's a fight. Who's this newbie? The vulture starts bullying the rank A guy again. So our hero tells him, I'm rank B, huh? Let me test something. So the vulture asks him, what do you want? But our hero charges lightning into his leg and, with incredible speed, kicks the vulture, breaking all his teeth and slamming him to the ground. People start asking, what's going on? And that he just flew backward, that's all. From a distance, we see someone watching our hero, and then another guy steps up and says, no, I saw it, he hit the vulture. Why is this rank A guy showing off his skills to us, huh, you punk? We're gonna rip that mask off your face. This'll be your grave, newbie. And they all gang up on our hero. But after just a little while, we see them all knocked out on the ground. One of them is stuck in the wall for some reason, and the rest are all sprawled out on the floor. And one of them says, this guy isn't human. Seriously, guys, she's not human. Then the person who had been watching our hero from afar comes closer and says, young man, you've got some really impressive skills. My name's Raymond. I'm the rank examiner. I've never seen you before. What missions have you completed so far? So our hero Subaru says to him, as you know, mercenaries in the A rank can only take on A rank missions, and even those are really limited. That's why I want to do this. So you get what I mean, right? And Subaru tells us the test for the third floor is to complete various mercenary missions and earn 10,000 points. The completion reward for A rank mercenaries doesn't exceed, at best, 50 points. That's why, on average, players usually get stuck here for more than a year. Then Subaru says, I had to take a shortcut. And he continues, I can't afford to waste a single second in my current situation. Plus, this isn't the time to calmly train or slowly climb the ranks. So the man with him says, a shortcut through the ranks, huh? By the way, are you one of those world travelers? They're really rare these days. Even so, I can't give you any special treatment. Everything has its proper owner. So our protagonist says, but there must be a way to speed up the process. Then the rank examiner says, Zan, do you really think giving special privileges to world travelers would be good for Class A? Our protagonist himself says, there's only one way to pass the third floor's test. And he tells him, we stopped making your dreams come true. So the rank examiner asks him, what do you mean? He replies, we've stopped the lightning cave. I'm gonna annex it to our kingdom. The rank examiner is shocked and says, wait, hold on a second. Are you saying you're gonna invade this place? Only people with an A rank or really high level mercenaries take on this mission. And more importantly, so our hero tells him, I know this is a battle of pride between the Ottomans and Conquered over the unconquerable dungeon, the Thunder Cave, a special dungeon on the third floor. Player, mercenary, or knight, no one has ever managed to conquer it in all of recorded history. This dungeon lies between two kingdoms, Concord and the Ottoman Kingdom, in a massive mountain range that's impossible to cross. They fought over it for decades. Conquering the Thunder Cave would open up an easy passage straight through the mountains. It had long been their shared ambition to block invasions from the other side and gain military superiority. If you issue me a certificate of rank, then The rank examiner thinks for a moment, and then our hero continues. If you reject me here, things will get chaotic, and you'll have to stop me if it comes to that. So the man tells him, I'll write you a letter of recommendation so you can join the raid. Raid teams are always in need of people. The raid team will set out in 5 days. I'll get you the letter of recommendation. Wait here for a bit. After that, the quest giver gives him a mission. If he conquers the Thunder Cave, he'll get 20,000. And the Cheapskate will give him another 10,000 too. And he gets a mission to clear 10 floors for a reward of 5,000 credits. So our hero says, in exactly 5 days, my turn on the 3rd floor will be over. Did the Blue Zone plan the tournament schedule with this in mind? And we see the rank examiner saying, clearing the Thunder Cave, huh? Honestly, I still can't quite believe it. I went into that cave myself when I was younger, and I lost half my team that day. So our hero tells him that won't happen again. He asks him, why are you asking for a letter of recommendation? Our hero replies, because I'm planning to go in alone. People in the comments are saying, oh my god, he's gone crazy again. There he goes, crazy again. I mean, he cleared the 2nd floor by himself. Yeah, but everyone ends up clearing the 2nd floor on their own anyway. We see the rank examiner telling our hero, super, you're crazy. The Thunder Cave is designed for a raid of at least 20 people. And you're saying you're going in alone? So Super replies, can you even gather 20 people? Honestly, that would be tough. So the rank examiner says to him, I thought you already had friends. Super replies, I don't have anyone right now. Then we see Rina saying, is he really planning to finish this on his own? He's just like Super. And you see Super saying, are you asking me why I'm taking the slow route with these missions? Because I don't care about any of that. Still, I'm gonna take a break from streaming, and everyone is surprised. We even see Arena surprised, saying, oh no. So our hero Super ends the stream. She says, this happened when I started getting into it just to kill time until I reach the 3rd floor. We see her going down the floor, saying he really is just like him, walking his own path no matter what others say. It's as if the real Super is the one streaming here. Yeah, that's true. And he's gonna participate in the tournament too. Honestly, I'd rather just chat with him, even though I hope he never wins. Then Rina takes off at full speed. Now we switch over to Super, and we see Hatsuka walking with him saying, just as expected from you. That's exactly what Narukomi Super would have done. You captured the true spirit of the original Super. So Super says to her, even though the viewers were cursing and saying some pretty crazy stuff. So Hatsuka says to him, if you just went there to do regular missions, your outfit wouldn't be this special, right? Or am I wrong? Super replies, that was thanks to your advice too. Then Hatsuka asks him, so what exactly are you gonna do now? Super tells her, I'll go out hunting until the appointed time. I don't know what kind of opponents might show out. That's why I want to level up a bit. And he says to himself, I also want to find out how much thunder I can use with my current stats. I want to test the performance of the Thunderheart as well. I won't let anyone forget Tosha. Then we go to a player from the Blue Zone named Nato. We see him saying, don't mess with me, dammit. Usually, when the Blue Zone summons you, you run to it right away. How dare he make me come all this way just to see him? We see Nato heading somewhere, continuing, I don't care if he's a thunder user or not. Why? I have to dance to the tune of a nobody from the 3rd floor. And when he enters the floor, he says, yeah, I've made it here. Then someone calls out to him from afar, and it turns out to be Jontel. So Nato sits down and says to him, Jontel, so you're Mr. Kenzaki Naoto from the Blue Zone, right? I heard you have something you want to discuss with one of our Basses makers. Naoto replies angrily, yeah, but where's the guy who actually cares about this matter? Jontel tells him he didn't come today, he's got other things to deal with. Naoto says to him, that's a pretty big excuse coming from a beginner at handling other matters. And is there anything more important than this? Jontel replies, that's a personal matter. That's why I can't answer you about it. What's more important is that we've already conveyed his wishes. Isn't that right? That's the reason he didn't come. Naoto says, we're planning to talk to him directly about this issue. Jontel says to him, unfortunately, it might not be that hard for you to meet him. Naoto replies angrily, that's only because you guys don't want us to meet him. And he thinks to himself, damn it, if I go back without seeing Narukomi, I'll be the one punished for this. Then Naoto continues, still angry. I know your game all too well. You're just trying to protect the goose that lays your golden eggs. Think about it carefully. Wouldn't Narukomi Super be in a much better position if he joined a big guild instead of making bases? Isn't that right or what? Jontel responds to him, who knows? Famous bossels makers are earning just as much as the top players these days. Every now and then, you run into players who are biased against streaming as a profession. I've met that type myself too. So Naoto says to him, sir, the way you talk makes it sound like you're trying to make the Blue Zone your enemy. Is that true? So Jontel says to him, please, hear me out till the end. We put the wishes of the Bass's creators above everything else. And since Narakomi's decision to reach out to you means you'll be fully supporting our company. So Noto says to him, for a man your age, your understanding of how this world works is really simple. Do you really think the Blue Zone will stay silent about this? Jontel snaps back at him. You're the one who doesn't get it here. There are people in this world you can't fool, not with force or threats. So if you're done talking, get out of my face right now. Noto gets angry and says to himself, what on earth is this? What was that overwhelming presence he just showed a moment ago? And he says to him, just a second, who do you think you are to order me to leave right now? Jontel gestures with his hand for him to leave, and Noto thinks to himself, what is this? Was that just my imagination? He tells Jontel, I swear you'll regret what happened today. Jontel says to him, yeah, he's a truly terrifying kid. Noto walks away from Jontel, leaving him behind. 3 days later, at the 3rd floor cell, the Sky Serpent's nest. We see the serpent getting slashed left and right, bleeding all over and attacking our hero, Super, who's preparing his thunder attack. And literally, with a single strike, he splits the serpent completely in half. He says, that should be more than enough. Then he charges in again, saying, let's cut it up completely so it doesn't make another sound. He comes down on its head with a legendary thunder strike that blows up the whole place. Its roar echoes loudly throughout the area. The system tells him, you have defeated the Sky Serpent. Your level has increased. Your strength has increased by 1. Your endurance has increased by 1. Your focus has increased by 1. We see him sitting on top of the serpent's corpse. He says, "Ugh, a Sky Serpent Fang, huh? That should be worth about 10,000 points right now. Or at least it was 20 years ago. I've already reached level 35, huh? My level increased by 9 levels in just 3 days. That's enough. There's no need for me to get any greedier than this. Toshia's waiting for me." Then we see Hatsuka waiting for our hero. She says to him, hey, you came. So our hero says to her, did anything happen? She asks him, did you see it? He asks her, see what? She says to him, you still haven't seen it yet, have you? And when he asks her what she means by that, he remembers and says that she must be talking about the collaboration video. He's really sorry. He was busy leveling up. So Hatsuka says to him, I'll say it again, Narukomi. These actions of yours aren't normal, even if you didn't mean it that way. But that's exactly what makes you the real Suboro. But there's one thing that's different between you and the original. Please take a look at this. Then she hands him an envelope and says, this is the latest profit statement from the recent collaboration stream with Hokai, or Hakai. Our hero finds that he earned 49,700 points. And that's way more than he expected. So Hatsuka tells him, I could have given you this at any time. But honestly, there's another reason I wanted to see you today. I have a friend named Kiharu-san. He's a gambling addict. Or rather, he's really into betting. Anyway, thanks to him, I learned something. So he says to her, super. And what did this guy do? Hatsuka tells him, there's a type of bet where you wager on the winner and get returns from it. And the higher the player's chance of winning, the lower the payout rate. In other words, the profits are small, but they're guaranteed. Currently, the payout rate when people bet on you is 6.1. But for one player, the payout is 1.2. In other words, he's the favorite to win. And when he asks her, super who? She tells him it's Omar Schneider, a player from the Blue Zone who stayed on the 3rd floor for 10 consecutive years. All because of his obsession with clearing the Thunder Cave. And because of that crazy obsession, he became famous even though he's neither a boss creator nor even a ranked player. It's likely that Schneider is up to something right at this moment. He's probably trying to meet you by any means because your solo Thunder Cave challenge that you announced on the stream? To him, it's like mocking all his efforts over the past 10 years. And aside from that, she tells him our hero is getting really close. We see Hatsuka climbing up on the table to explain the risk to our hero. She talks about the Thunder Cave challenge and this tournament, and she says that in the upcoming test, there's a real chance you'll run into him. That's why I wanted to warn you. Please be careful. And on the 3rd floor at night, we see someone walking with a cart, and another person inside it says, tomorrow's the last day, and in reality, that's when I finally managed to clear the Thunder Cave alone. Who did he think he was to say something like that? And the other person says that's just nonsense, because he doesn't really know the true Thunder Cave. Please, don't let this affect you, Commander Schneider. And here we see Omar Schneider. He says, this doesn't bother me. I've heard him brag about it a lot during his short career. But he's the new Laura Funger. That's what we wanted for a long time. So one of his followers says, that might be true. But don't you think he's a bit too arrogant, Omar? Then another one replies, exactly, just because he mastered thunder. He thinks he's the real Narukami Subaru or something like that. That's one thing. Omar tells him, enough. This isn't the time for envy or jealousy or belittling him or downplaying his achievements. That's also completely unacceptable. So they say to him, so you prefer to respect him, Captain? Schneider says, yeah, but if it comes down to it, I'll do it. Then the two of them say together, he's speaking with a lot of confidence. But honestly, the captain's pride is completely shattered right now. That's really bad. This troublemaker had no idea what he was saying or how he planned to face the consequences in front of a beast like that. Then we go back to Super and our hero in the room. We see our hero saying, this guy is insane. He only started drawing attention to himself about 5 years ago. He entered the blue zone around that time. Omar Schneider is a player from the blue zone. I thought they were very confident in themselves when they hosted a tournament like this on Toshiya's shoes. But if there is a candidate from their union to win the title, this explains a lot of things. But I'm sorry, Kyojo. I have already returned to the arena. Let's see if things will go the way you want or not. Then, at the main market area on the 3rd floor, we see someone saying, the quality of the material doesn't matter. I can't do much with it while it's in custody. In this case, your catch was messy, so the hide is full of scratches. 1,500 points. So the man says to him, what? That's everything. The merchant replies, that's the highest I can go. Take it or leave it. The player says, all right, I'll sell it to you. And the merchant himself says, I'm really lucky. Today, the red troll hide healed itself. That's why it's expensive. That's something not many people know. And then a red horn is placed on the table in front of him, and it's the horn that our hero, Super, brought. The man says, that's a sky serpent fang. Our hero asks him, how much will you pay for it? The merchant is surprised and says, no problem, as long as it's S+ rank. Even so, it barely has any damage on it. But you came to the wrong person to negotiate with, my friend, because I'm a professional in my field too. The merchant says, its condition is excellent. Its condition is close to rank A. The hunter who got it must be really skilled. If it weren't for that tiny scratch, it would have been S rank. But unfortunately, your timing's bad. The amount of heavenly serpent fangs in the market has gone up a lot lately, so the demand for them keeps dropping. Still, I'm in a good mood today, so I'll sweeten the deal for you. And he gives our hero 8,000 coins. So Subaru thinks to himself, I don't really know much, but once every 20 years, huh? Then a voice comes from behind him saying, in that case, it's easily worth at least 15,000 coins. Heavenly serpent fangs are rare. That's why, practically, you're the one who sets the price, not the merchant. The merchant replies, that's a pretty ridiculous thing to say. And it turns out to be Omar Schneider, who says to our hero, you and I are both rookies, Subaru, right? Our hero says to him, Schneider, you came. After that, we see the two of them sitting in a cafe. Our hero says to him, let's get straight to the point. We're not the type to go out on a quiet day like this. And he thinks to himself, honestly, did he really ask to eat ice cream? So he says to him, Omar, you said you were going to clear Thunder Cave. Subro replies, exactly, that's what I said. Omar says to him, you're just arrogant. That was my first impression of you. Just someone who recently made it to the 3rd floor. Then suddenly you start talking nonsense, saying you're going to destroy Thunder Cave and finish it off. Subro says to him, so what? Did you change your mind now? Omar says to him, not completely. You could say, I'll give you half my respect. Honestly, you really do have an exceptional talent. But I still can't believe you're comparing yourself to Rokumi Sabro. Sabro himself thought Omar was just a weirdo, but his eyes are really serious. And he says to him, so did you bring me here today just to eat ice cream? Omar says to him, I have an offer for you. Take back what you said that day about clearing Thunder Cave by yourself. That came from arrogance rooted in your deep ignorance. Just start by sincerely apologizing. So Sabro says to him, and you consider that a great offer, Omar? Omar replies, I'm not asking you to do it right now. If you lose in the upcoming tournament, you'll admit your recklessness clearly, and then you'll have to face reality. Subro says, excellent. But if I win, you'll tell me everything you know about Thunder Cave. And since you were the one who made this offer in the first place, this condition should be acceptable to you, right? Omar replies, no problem. I'm not going to lose anyway. And if I do lose, it won't be in front of you. Omar Schneider leaves him and walks away. And our hero says, looks like he didn't waste those 10 years for nothing. Then we go back to Song, who is Hatsuka's colleague. We see him saying, wow, more than 10,000 people for a prize like this? That kind of crazy turnout was expected. Man, if they had organized this back when I was on the third floor, I would have joined at least once. And the commentator says Schneider or Rokumi Subaru. The predictions are different, but they're the most famous right now. Schneider's the safe bet for anyone who's gambling. On the other hand, Subaru's the riskier but more profitable choice. So Song says, with this many participants, the answer's obvious, even if the winning odds are just 1 and 2. Any professional gambler would bet on the sure thing, not on chance. Gambling's the fastest road to ruin, and just as Song is about to press the betting button, he gets a call from Hatsuka. He gets scared, throws his phone on the ground, and says, "You're spying on me, aren't you?" So Hatsuka says to him, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" So Song says to her, "Hey Hatsuka, what are you up to?" Hatsuka replies, "You were gambling again, weren't you?" Song says to her, "How did you know? Did you plant a listening device in the office or in my ear?" Hatsuka says to him, "What are you even talking about, you idiot? I don't care about that. Tell me, what are you doing?" So Song says to her, "What the heck? Are you gonna gamble too?" Hatsuka says to him, "I was thinking of betting on Rokumi." Song replies to her, "You idiot. Do you even know the value of money?" Hatsuka says to him, "What, you think Rokumi's gonna lose?" So Song says to her, No, I'm not underestimating him. But you have to analyze the fighting styles, power levels, and return rates, then calculate the odds. Schneider isn't even someone who belongs on the third floor to begin with. He accomplished more on the third floor than the original Rokumi Super did. So how could a content creator who just arrived beat Schneider? Schneider, who spent 10 years training? That's a myth wrapped in a children's story. So she says to him, "So, do you want to bet?" And they agree on a whole month's salary. At this point, Hatsuka passes by a character and notices something strange about him, and both of them accept the bet. Then she hangs up on Song without saying a word. He's surprised why she suddenly brought up the bet, and immediately ended the call. But now we go back to Schneider. He sees the person with him asking, "How was it, Commander?" Schneider replies, he's not an amateur at all. The man tells him, "You might lose." Omar looks at him angrily and says, "After meeting him in person, I'm sure that me losing is impossible." Then, from a distance, we see Rina saying, "Schneider, the top candidate, his mana isn't bad and shouldn't be underestimated," even though there's no need to worry about any surprises. And on the day of the tournament in the Calcium Hall, we see our hero entering the arena amid cheers and lots of noise, with people saying, "This is gonna be a brawl, I'm Rokumi Subaro." Then another person says, "Isn't he the content creator everyone's talking about?" Everyone. Is he gonna participate too? The first person replies, "No, the voting's already closed." Isn't that right? He was second on the list of possibilities. That's why there's a possibility. And when they ask who came first, they answer everyone. Omar Schneider. Chants for Omar Schneider begin everywhere in the Coliseum, followed by gunfire. The introduction says, "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for waiting. I'll be your host for today's tournament. I am Mizuha from the Blue Zone. It was an honor meeting you. The tournament will be divided into qualifiers and the main event. And now, please take a look at the prize awarded to the sole champion of the main event. The shoes that Hermes himself wore. The pride and legendary secret of the Blue Zone from the collection of Hibiki Toshiya of the Blue Eyes team, Tralia. Here are the shoes, right here." So our hero says, "Just wait for me, Toshiya. I swear I'll return to you what was once yours." And from afar, we see Hatsuka watching our hero. And she says he should be starting, but Komi's fire could ignite at any moment. And here, she hears the girl next to her talking and bad-mouthing the Blue Zone, so Hatsuka notices her and says, "It's her again. That's the same woman I saw before at the market. I wonder who she is." After that, our hero Subaru actually starts his livestream, and people start commenting. Finally, he started our legendary livestream. Aren't we the #1 for winning, Subaru? He starts his stream with 3,000 viewers. So Subaru tells them, "I want to apologize to you all since I've been away for a long time." The comments reply, "That's just a normal disappearance for any content creator. We've been waiting for you, Kane. We're even watching you from the stands right now." Then Subaru says to himself, "They're really excited. I can barely keep up with their messages." Then a message comes in from Subaru's fan, Narukomi, wishing him victory and saying he'll get 30,000 coins. Our hero says, "Thanks for the 30,000 points. I'm here to win." And now, the host announces the start of the tournament. Then she opens up a huge circle and it explodes in the air. Everyone there is shocked by what's happening. It turns out to be a barrier. They say these people really have skills on a whole different level, just as you'd expect from the Blue Zone. Subaru says to himself, "There's no way all these preparations could have happened overnight." And the system says, "You have entered the preliminary qualifiers." Then another notification pops up. If you die, everyone becomes your enemy. The round ends when the number of survivors reaches 1,000 killers. Stay alive until then. There are 10,250 survivors. So Subaru says, so this is gonna be a solo match. No one's gonna target me here. That way I can conserve my strength. And then Slipmouse sends him a mission. He can pay him 100 points for each kill. Pepperoni Pizza also sends him 100 points for each kill as well. The mission villain, 1,000 points for defeating Dansho and 10,000 points for defeating Omar Schneider. And right at that moment, our hero Super notices someone behind him. So he turns around and sees the guy running away saying, hey, keep the fire, Comey. Super's goal from the start is something really harsh. So our hero draws his sword and says, 200 points around me right now. I need to take care of him. After that, there are still 8,500 players left. And we see Omar walking through the middle of the forest saying he's not interested in the small fry. He's only after one man, Subaru, the Fire Comey Subaru. At that moment, an attack is launched at Omar. Schneider dodges it and says, oh. He says, that guy was really strange. Alright, everyone who bet on that strike has to pay up 100 points. And then a whole team comes at Omar Schneider, saying, isn't that bad? He didn't finish the job with that strike. So they think they have a chance. He's just a guy who sat on the 3rd floor for 10 years. Omar says, the plan itself isn't banned. Your problem is, you picked the wrong opponent. They reply, that's some big talk for a guy about to get crushed. But before the guy could finish his sentence, his head gets blown off and flies far away. And we continue with the rest of the events. We see that the man's head was taken off with a single blow from Omar Schneider. One of them asks them, what just happened back there? They left as if they were completely out of their depth. Schneider says, I've seen countless people like you. Then he delivers a really powerful blow from a distance. He completely blows away half of a guy and continues, listen to me carefully. Shortcuts won't do you any good in this tower, ever. The only thing that'll protect you here is your own strength. Omar Schneider starts approaching him. It's like the living dead is coming for him, so they all get scared. And at that moment, everyone sees what's happening, what Omar Schneider's doing, and how he's splitting people in half. They say, hey, don't run away. This is just a test. You're never gonna escape. But this isn't even a battle. Then we go to Rena, who we see watching Omar and saying to herself, he's on a whole different level compared to the other players. And that's really obvious. When he starts climbing to the higher floors, he'll immediately enter the top rankings. But then she hears Hetsuka making a lot of noise, so she says to herself, aside from that, I can't ignore the chaos she's causing. We see Hetsuka saying, hey, fight harder, you're all cowards. And we see that she's watching our hero and says to her, Naruko Misubaru. So Hetsuka says to her, oh, do you know her? Wait a second, that mask? Don't tell me you have a crush. Rena replies, yeah, something like that. Hatsuka says, I've had a crush on him for 20 years. My name's Hatsuka, what's your name? After that, there are still 1,342 survivors left. We see Subaru saying, what was our number again? The comments tell him a few things, and our hero continues thinking that now it's over. Not right? 200 points per head is really not much at all. But then he gets an idea and says, maybe I should announce that I'm here to attract the players. So the comments respond to him, why are you plotting? You're gonna draw attention, aren't you? Everyone's trying to hide, well, you're trying to get noticed. Lolly, man. And one of them says, man, that's aura, you don't get it. He's making an aura for himself now. He's farming. And right away, our hero strikes a decisive blow, blasting all the trees with his lightning power. He shows everyone that Narukami Super is here. He draws all the attention to himself. Then we go to Omar Schneider, who's taking someone out with his rifle. He sees a lot of bodies around him. He says, I finally found you. But our hero replies, no, I'm the one who found you first, Schneider. And the comments say, a big reward is on its way. Yeah, that's an easy 10 points. Then one of them says, Schneider? 10 points? He deserves 10,000 points. Omar says, excellent. There's no need to drag this out. Let's finish it here. The villain offers our hero 1,000 points for defeating Downjo and 10,000 points for defeating Omar. Our hero says, looks like I'm gonna get those 10,000 coins sooner or later. The two of them stand facing each other, ready to enter an epic battle. Then Omar channels a very powerful energy and hits our hero with a legendary strike that blows up the entire area. He keeps going, with 1,200 left. There's still some room to catch my breath. Our hero says to himself, what just happened wasn't a skill, but a special technique. So if I lose track of the tip of his spear, even for a single second, I'm as good as dead. Then Schneider starts spinning his spear. Subaru continues, saying his spear can easily reach distances it should never be able to. Then Schneider lands another strike. A legendary, devastating strike heads straight for our hero. The system says the unknown devil's sword drains your stamina, and its power increases in proportion to the amount of stamina consumed. The level 4 stake of greed resists the secondary effects of the unknown devil's sword. Our hero faces the strike coming from Omar Schneider with great strength, and even counters it. But Omar Schneider appears right in front of him in the blink of an eye. In an instant, he aims his spear again. But our hero dodges Omar's spear, which spins back and lands a second, third, fourth, and fifth blow on our hero. And he unleashes a barrage of fierce blows on our hero. But Subaru isn't a pushover either. He delivers a powerful strike that sends Omar Schneider flying back, forcing him to retreat. Omar asks, "Why don't you use thunder?" Our hero replies, "That would be a complete waste. This fight is about to end anyway." Omar looks surprised and says, "Do you really think it would be a waste if you used it on me?" But at that moment, Omar continues, "Don't tell me you were just stalling." Omar Schneider launches a really strong attack, but Subaru blocks it and asks, "What's wrong with you? Don't tell me you were actually fighting with everything you've got, right? And now there are only 1,003 left of us." Omar says, "You sly devil, Raggy." After that, the number of people in the qualifiers reaches 1,000, and the qualifiers end completely. Schneider's attack comes to an end. He says, "Next time we meet, be ready." Subaru replies to him, "Assume that this means the 10,000 points will remain pending until then." After that, they move to the waiting room and are given a 30-minute break. Our hero's hand is shaking badly, and he says, "I was just barely defending myself at the very last moment. If it had gone on a bit longer, it would have been really close." And right now, our hero has 11,000 people watching his stream. He remembers what Hitsuka said about having 10,000 viewers. According to what the manager said, you could call this the streaming wall. Once a streamer breaks through that number, even just once, they might be able to stay in this field for the rest of their life. They might never drop below that number for the rest of their life. So Subaru says to himself, 10,000 viewers? Well, I really did manage to grab attention as a content creator. Looks like the stream with Schneider ended on a positive note. Still, even someone at Omar Schneider's level can't handle Kafarad. How is that possible? And here we cut to another place. We see Shiguri saying, "Dow, I'm not playing some game of hide and seek or anything like that. Right, what am I doing every day?" Anyway, in reality, Schneider's still ahead. Why would someone like him even stay on the 3rd floor? Then a voice comes from the device saying, "I have to know that the lower the floor, the harder it is to bridge the level gap. If there's one thing Narukami Subaru surpasses Schneider in, it's thunder." So Shigori says, of course, if he really has a talent, if his talent is real, then a complete turnaround could happen. But from what I can see right now, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. The mission is completed and our hero gets 9,800 points, bringing his total to 11,100. People are commenting, saying, "I'm here and I'm getting some rewards too." Don't be sneaky, man. So our hero says, as long as they're giving them to me, I'll definitely take them. And our hero uses 80,000 points to upgrade the Greed Stake skill to level 5. He's left with only 16,000 points. The Greed Stake reaches rank B, and now it needs 160,000 points to advance further. So our hero says, rank B, huh? Maybe one day that'll be possible. So people in the comments are asking him, why did you suddenly go so quiet? Is his mind busy planning for the main event or what? He's greedy, but he's being greedy in a really cool way. Come on, man, come on. And then somewhere else, we see the narrator looking at Tush's shoe and saying, is it really true that there's a thief here targeting the reward? And that his real identity is... But then a voice comes in saying, Miss Mizuha, reinforcements have arrived from the guild headquarters. So Mizuha says, again, who's leading them this time? Then a voice says, I am. Mizuha's surprised and asks him why. Why are you here on the 3rd floor, Amon? Amon says, the guildmaster's in a really bad mood. So Mizuha asks him, is it because of Subaru? Amon replies, yeah, about Nirokumi Subaru and Omar Schneider. But there's another issue. There's a traitor here. Then we cut back to Rina, who looks really shocked. She thinks to herself, why is there someone with that much mana here? She's talking about Hitsuka. She continues, everywhere I go, it's me. Then Rina takes off her mask and her appearance looks a bit different. Tamai says, it's a bit awkward for you to address me as a girl. So Hitsuka replies, that's because you give off an absolutely unnatural aura. I can tell you've been training for a really long time. And she adds, in that face, Tamai, you're using a disguise technique, right? Rina thinks to herself, what's this girl's deal? I was just testing how perceptive she is. Don't tell me she's an assassin sent by Kyojo. But she's way too obvious like this. So Hitsuka says to her, I'm sure you have your reasons. The stronger someone is, the more they need to hide their identity, after all. But just to clarify, you're not here to mess around with the tournament, right? So Rina says to her, and what would happen if I was? Hatsuka replies in a really intimidating way, like she's one of the strongest characters around. Then I'll stop ya, no matter what it takes. And that's it, guys. Those were the chapters we had. So, what is Hatsuka's true identity? And who exactly is this Hatsuka? And what is Rinnegan do? And what will Amon do? And what is our hero Subaru even gonna do in the middle of all this mess? All this and more legendary events we'll find out, God willing, when a few more chapters are released and we continue the story for you. So write to us in the comments. What do you think of the story so far? And how would you rate it? And just a quick note, guys, my Awesome Legends, I have nothing to do with it, okay? Honestly, I have nothing to do with it. These are just the chapters I found, alright? I know, the video is short. The video is really, really short. God willing, I'll make it up to you and put up a poll today about the stakes so we can do the stakes soon. So please, please, no insults in the comments. Thanks for the likes and the subscriptions. Don't forget to send blessings upon the noble prophet. Remember God. Thanks for watching. Peace.